and start lifting up. Now, you don't have my product, and you don't have my money.
You gotta give me another chance! They know! Please!
Look, the brothers don't wait to get paid. Money talks. Bullshit runs the marathon. So, see ya, and I wouldn't want to be here. Will you get this man something to eat, please?
Oh, yes.
Here, you want some more? How's that? Here, how's that, all right?
Oh, man.
Hey, Pookie, you clean yourself up, man. Maybe I'll give you a job.
All right.
You sounding like this is the wheel or something, like it's gonna change the world.
Look, man, I don't know about all that change the world, but what I do know is that they be going crazy over this, man. I'm telling you. And the business, oh, Lord, the business, yo, they do anything for this.
See, they try to front it off like it don't exist. Meanwhile, the rich get richer.
The poor don't get a thing.
Times like these, people want to get high. Real high and real fast. And this is gonna do it. And make us rich.
I mean, what? People going crazy over this? I mean, really, it looked like cracked off pieces of soap.
Yo, baby, we talking about combinate and consolidate. That's what up.
You're not thinking I'm taking over the Carter.
Yeah, we taking over the Carter. We gonna bum rush the whole damn thing.
You killed too many people. No.
Cancel that. I'll buy it now.
Hey, baby, you still mad at me? What you did?
G, what's up? Where the hell is the other man? I don't know, man. He probably after that ski that he was doing. Yo, what's up with Shalita?
Okay, I'll put
I don't know what's up with her. She's losing her mind. That's what's up.
Take care of yourself, because you're an ignorant bastard. You committing genocide on your own people with your silk suits and fancy cars.
Yo, you better step off, Grandpa.
You're an idol worshiper. You're killing your own people with them little white devils you putting in that bottle. You are idolater. Reverend Oates, what you doing in here with this drug scum?
You shut up. You need to let me smoke this old dude.
300 people working for us. At all times, I can't keep my eye on every single one of them. You was taking care of business instead
If I was what? Say it again. What'd you say?
Nothing.
That's what I thought you said. Because that's what I got right now, nothing. $1 million a week business. Reduce the rebels. What, huh?
Nino!
Huh? It's your responsibility, huh?
Nino!
I never liked you anyway. Pretty mother.
Look at it. Kareem Akbar. That's right, the educated brother from the bank. He's the real head of the CMB, the brains behind the whole thing. I told you, this thing is bigger than Nino Brown, and I got a list of proof. If I'm going down, I'm taking a whole lot of people with me.
Order in the court. Order in the court.
Excuse my lawyer, please.
That we ain't night riders. That we ain't night riders.
Welcome to the RIDERS SQUADCAST live stream. You are now rolling with the RIDERS.
Mic check, mic check. Yeah, there we go. We in the building. Yeah, just had to check the audio. We up in here. Once again in the building, and that building is not a jail cell. Yeah. Like to thank you all for joining me once again for another exciting episode of the Night Riders Squad Cast. And we are going to get it in tonight, as you can tell with the title, with the thumbnail. We will be discussing none other than Sean P.Diddy, Puffy, Brother Love, whatever name he's going by this week. We like to call him the Diddler. And yeah, we're going to go in as only we can. Some of you know that we have been following this story since its inception. We over here like to give a full analysis of situations, unbiased. And I've noticed that a lot of people have been weighing in on this, of course, some of whom have been what I would consider to be biased. We have no such biases over here. We're going to just look at the facts and the information and give our assessment and dissect it. You know how we do. So, see a few people in the building. Salute to y'all. And we're going to go ahead and get it started because we got a lot of information to cover. So we're going to get right down into it. Now, what I want to point out here from the outset is that when I created the Diddy Do It video last year, my overall point was to discern and disassociate his alleged behavior from black men in general. As you may recall, those of you who have been rolling with us for quite some time, I was one of the first people to report on this, and I did use the title that has since gone viral, which is Did He Do It? Iman Perry in the building. Salute. Good to see you. Got a few other people pouring in. You're free to identify yourselves as well. Yeah, back to my point. Most people were, they got infatuated with my title, and the wordplay with me using his name and then saying, did he do it? And they kind of overlooked my overall point. And again, I get it. People like little things like that. And I noticed a lot of people, they took that part of the title and ran with it, and they start putting it in their videos and so forth. But if you go back and look at that video, the full title was, Did He Do It or Did Black Men Do It? Because my overall point was that what I saw was there was a lot of people out there trying to conflate what this particular individual was doing, who just happens to be a black man. And what I saw is that they were really making a concerted effort to shoehorn black men in general. And that was the whole thing that prompted me to come up with that whole concept. And we're going to go in deep tonight because I kind of see a little difference now. And I think that's through no lack of effort on our part to kind of push back at that. So I do see some progress, and people seem to kind of be keeping it where it belongs, which is Diddy himself. Yeah, you're right, Iman. It is wild, and we're going to go in tonight. Just stay tuned. But, I did notice that it, at least when this story first broke, there were so many people that were really, really trying hard to shoehorn black men in general into this whole thing. And I felt that it was pretty weird, and so that's why I came up with that entire video. Did he do it, or did black men do it? And like I said, of course, people just kind of took the first part of the title, ran with that, made it a household name, and went viral. It's all over the place, right? Okay, fine. But the bottom line is, I still want to reemphasize that point in the importance of us to fight back at this propaganda. Which brings me to my point before we get deep into this topic. We did push back, and those of you who recall last week's video, when I was setting the record straight with regard to this notion that black men don't like 4C hair. And I've noticed that the conversation has started to shift in certain parts, and they are putting the blame where it belongs, and it's squarely on their mothers. Black women, particularly unambiguous black women, have been the most stalwart or staunch supporters of colorism and featureism and texturism, and somehow black men have been once again made the scapegoats for this, when, just like I pointed out when I shut down Umar's talking point when he was trying to claim that, quote, dark-skinned men were the most colorist, I pointed out to Umar that this is either nature or nurture. And we know it's not nature, because that would mean it's from some type of genetic deficiency, which we could clearly disregard that just by looking at historic figures such as Marcus Garvey, Denmark BC, Jean-Jacques Dessalines. The list goes on, right? Including people that rock over here with the Night Riders, and not to mention Umar himself. So we have to dismiss that as an argument. So what does that leave us? That left us with the nature part of it, or not nature, the nurture part, which is how they were raised. And so when we look at the statistics, we understand that most of these young men were being raised by single mothers, self-hating single mothers at that. So to the extent that these particular dark-skinned men had some type of issue with colorism and so forth, it can be placed squarely on the responsibility of their mothers, who were, cussing them out, calling them, you black this, you black that. And we've all seen it and heard it. So I find it very interesting how people always kind of like to use black men as a stand-in for all the pathologies that go on, while at the same time not giving clear rationale as to why it may be the case. So we kind of shut that down. And with this whole thing about black men not liking 4C hair, I like where the conversation's going, and people are starting to shift it back to where it belongs, and that is the self-hating black women from which it originates. And they also teach their sons, which those men who grow up to be colorists, and we pointed out this before, we broke down the entire thing as far as a list, and that's number 4 on the list, which is self-hating baby mamas produce colorist black men who reject natural B-dub features. So there you go. But I just wanted to point that out as an aside, because we're making progress, gentlemen. Over here on the Night Riders, that's one of our mission statements, is to push back at the anti-black men propaganda. And we're going to keep our boots on that neck. Now, let's get into this. Because with this whole Diddy thing, right? So let me go back to this point. We want to make sure that we are keeping this squarely where it belongs. And we're going to break this down in a couple of different ways, because I've noticed that there's kind of different schools of thought out here when it comes to this Diddy situation. You have some people who are saying, well, we just need to kind of just let things play out, because we know how corrupt the criminal justice system is, and there's all this history of that, and you don't want to throw another black man under the bus, and this, that, and the third. And then you have people who are trying to overly litigate this whole thing. And to those particular schools of thought, I say this. I say, well, first of all, we don't want to fall in the same category as the aforementioned people who I said are trying to shoehorn black men as a whole into this situation. These alleged actions are that of a specific man, which is P.Diddy. So when you make this argument and try to broaden it to black men as a whole, then what you're doing is saying that somehow his pathology is something that we need to not only claim but somehow defend. And I take an issue with that, because I really think that people need to get off of this thing just having a blanket defense for people just because of we share skin tone. It's just like the saying goes, all skinfolk aren't kinfolk, right? So, and the other part of that is most of his victims were they not black people, from what I've seen. So when you rush to this position of putting your cape on, and over here, we got the Dark Knight persona, so we cape for the right things, though. We're not caping for someone who is an alleged degenerate who has preyed on the very community that you guys feel that somehow you want to uplift or protect. So what we're doing over here is just putting the responsibility where it belongs, and that is with him. If these alleged things are true, then we need to just call a spade and stop playing games and be for real, right? So that's the other part. Now, the other thing that I've seen is that a lot of people have gone very litigious, and they're trying to make this into something that I think is pretty much a deflection. And they'll go into all these different things. Well, this just sets a bad precedent, and if we let them get away with railroading this guy, then it could open up this can of worms for everybody. Well, again, I mean, that may or may not be true, but at the end of the day, this particular guy's individual decisions were his alone, and he's going to have to bear the brunt of that. It has nothing to do with us as a whole. And as we break this down, like I said, we got a lot of clips. We're going to get into those. We're going to be dissecting them with the precision that you are used to over here. What we want to make sure that we're doing is making it very clear that as men, we have certain standards in honor. And those of you who follow the Manalytics series, I advise you to go check out Manalytics episode 4, I believe, when we were talking about honor and the importance of black men having honor. And the reason why I say that is because we don't want to get into the habit of excusing behaviors that make us look bad as a whole. While his decisions are his alone, we have to understand that when you're in a system like this that has historically demonized black men, they look for occasions that they'll take some guy's degeneracy and try to paint with a broad brush everybody. So we know that. And that's why you need to be more careful if you are in a public sphere and you are a guy who's high profile as he was. He should have been more circumspect with regard to his decisions. And then there's also the argument in terms of people saying, well, he was a victim of people grooming him. And when he first got into the business, you had Clive Davis, you had, what's his name, Andre Harrell. You got all these different guys who basically did that to him. And so he's just basically doing it to other people. So it's kind of like hurt people type of thing. And he was abused, so therefore he's abusing people. Okay, I can run with that. But where does personal responsibility come into play, right? So we do understand that that was the culture. It's a degenerate culture. We all should condemn it. But that does not excuse him from his own personal decisions. There's also information, and I believe we got clips on this as well, that his mom, and we've covered this before on that classic video that we made also last year about behind every, and we use the word, instead of great, we use grape man. There's a grape woman, if you know what I mean. And we pointed out the fact that a lot of these guys who grow up to be degenerates, and I believe that's, let's see, on our list of pathologies, we say overly affectionate baby mamas produce son husbands / mama's boys or effeminate sexually deviant men. So we've covered this before, and there's information coming out that his mom may have actually participated or kind of led some of these freak-offs. But this is all alleged. However, there is footage of her kind of having a real weird relationship with him, kissing him in the mouth and all of that. And we've talked about this before. So all of this comes into play. So we are considering these things, and we're going to kind of take a unique approach to presenting this. We're going to kind of do a defense part. We're going to show clips of people who are trying to kind of defend them a little bit, and then we're going to play kind of the prosecution part, and then we're going to let you make your own decisions, because again, this is all the court of public opinion. None of us are in the courtroom. None of us are litigating this. None of us are the judge or the jury. So this is all our opinion at the end of the day. But what we want to do is just look at the facts and make our own assessments. And I think that's the fairest way to do it. Shout out to Shadow Zulu in the building. He says, remember the Bart Gets Famous Simpsons episodes where Bart was saying, did he do it? No, I don't remember that. When did that come out? Yeah, I don't remember that. But the thing about it, Shadow, when I made that title, I was the only one that I saw with that title. And then after I made my title, then everybody else started doing it. That's what I'm referring to. I'm not sure how old that episode is you're talking about, because I think I stopped watching The Simpsons back in the 90s. So yeah, I hadn't been watching that, so I don't know. You have to tell me what year that came out. But no, I didn't see that. So I'm not saying nowhere in history did anybody ever do that name flip like that, but I'm just saying when it came to this particular situation, last year when this story first broke and I made that title, I noticed a slew of people, and just like when I even pointed out to Black Ram, and I showed him the guy who took my title and ran with it, he confirmed that, because I showed him the dates, and it was like the next week after I made my video, and this guy is notorious for stealing people's content, and he has a larger platform, so people, when he took the title, it was able to be seen by more people. And therefore, people start copying him, who were basically copying me. So that's kind of how it snowballed. But yeah, but Shadow, yeah, if you can send me that link, I'd like to see that. But no, I wasn't aware of that prior to me coming up with the title that I did. But at any rate, we're going to go in tonight because we got a lot of stuff to cover. And so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to kind of take a very unique approach. He said episode, so he knows the episode, so you must be a fan of The Simpsons. He said Bart actually said I didn't do it. I just put I Diddy do it because of the title of his live stream. Oh, okay. So he didn't actually say what my title was. It was just kind of, he said I didn't do it. Okay. Yeah. So all right, but either way, I mean, like I said, I wasn't familiar with that. So you're saying that it wasn't necessarily my exact title. So, but yeah, that just further proves my point, which I didn't get it from anywhere else. I just basically, I thought of it. And then when I put it in the title of that video that I made last year, that's when it kind of snowballed and everybody else kind of started running with it. That's my point. So again, but yeah, thanks for that information. But yeah, let's get into it, because what we're going to do tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are going to break this down, and we're going to give both sides of this. We're going to show people who are kind of leaning more toward defending him, and we're going to dissect that part. We're going to go into the prosecutional side, and we're going to kind of break that down. So it's going to be live, and we are going to go in. So the first thing we're going to do is start out with the prosecution. Oh, by the way, if you guys like that intro, which is the that we put out here, the new Diddy City, I gotta shout out the ones who actually made that was Night and Day Talk Media. So shout them out. Go check them out. We're gonna put their link in the description of this video. So it's Night and Day Talk Media. They make that, so it was funny as hell. So if you guys didn't see it, go back when you watch the playback. Yeah, so we just wanted to point that out. So let's go with some people who are actually defending him. Oh, you know what? Let's see if we can get a little bit of this indictment as well. I may just read a little bit of that first. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of this indictment. I'm sure you guys have seen it, but we're going to kind of peruse through it real quick, and then we're going to go into some of these clips. But yeah, let me get this indictment up here. See if I can pull this up. Because we got a lot of information here, so let me see. Let me go ahead and open that up. Thought I had it open already. Yeah, we're going to just kind of peruse through it. We're not going to go through it because I guess it's 14 pages. So obviously we're not going to go through the entire document, but we're going to just peruse through it. Kind of like we did before, when this story first broke. I guess when Cassie first put her case out there. And so I got it opening up now. All right, there we go. So yeah, let's just go ahead and go through this a little bit. Let's just see what we're dealing with. So I'm going to share this with you guys. For those of you who may have not seen it, I would imagine that most of you have seen it. All right, so here's the Diddy indictment. I don't know. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Okay, so it says U.S. or United States District Court, Southern District of New York, United States of America versus Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love. I'm not sure why they had to put all of his freaking aliases on there, but whatever. So anyway, as we go through this, this says for decades, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy. I mean, I'll go through all his aliases. It says the defendant abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires. You know, that's kind of worded interesting. I guess, you know, normally if you're going to talk about gender, you know, you'd say women and men, or, you know, you just said others. So I guess there were maybe some trannies in there too. I don't know. But he said to do so, Combs relied on the employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking. I don't know if we could say the words. Forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Now, you know what's so interesting is that if these allegations are true, it's very ironic, because I think we've all heard the story of guys, and some of us, I know I do personally, know people who once worked in that, well, you know, did certain things, right, to become, to get on a certain level in the crime world, right? And then at some point they decided to go clean and take a criminal enterprise and turn it into something legitimate. If these allegations are true, then he's hustling backwards, because he literally started out legitimate, allegedly, you know, although there's some information that he was dealing with the likes of organizations such as BMF. And so maybe it was dirty money, no pun intended, because I think that was one of his group's names as well, that there was dirty money that was even from the outset. But at least ostensibly on the face of it, he had a legitimate organization. So it looks like he went legit first, just to run a criminal organization, which I feel is very interesting. And like I said, that looks to me like hustling backwards, because the objective is to get out the game so that you can get legit, as opposed to being some type of wannabe Nino Brown. Shout out to our intro. And Cortez Smith in the building, salute to you, bro. And he said, Cortez said, if the allegations are true, then Diddy did. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. But this is the indictment. It's 14 pages. And it's just going down to, we'll just get to some of the juicy parts, I guess. And it says that this abuse at times was verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. At times, Combs and others, acting at his discretion or direction, made arrangements for women and commercial sex workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation for the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing or narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence. Sounds like the music industry to me, but anyway. So yeah, this goes on and it talks about all of these different counts. We're going to get into some of it, but his attorney said something very interesting, which is they were trying to paint this as if there were so many different victims, 50 or something. But his attorney said, and I'm going to play the clip a little bit later, said that this is all centered around one victim, which I believe is Cassie, and it's like they're trying to extrapolate that to more people. So I feel that's kind of interesting, because a lot of what's being described here in this indictment is it seems to be centered around the things that we already know that he did with her. So other people are not named that I'm aware of, but I just find it pretty interesting that that his attorney said that. And when you look through the indictment, you don't really see a bunch of other people listed. So anyway, if you guys are not familiar with it, you can go through and download it. It's free online. If you want to read through it, I just wanted to pull it up, kind of go through it a little bit, but that's not the crux of what we're going to be doing. So I just want to be fair and show that we are, we did kind of look through that. But what we're going to do now, because like I said, the first thing is to look at the people or the positions that are trying to kind of defend them a little bit. And we want to see if there's any validity to any of this. So one person that well, you know what, let's start with his attorney. So let's take a look at what his attorney has to say.
I think we have a good shot tomorrow. Tomorrow we argue.
And this is when before his, I guess, his second bail attempt was denied. So we already know how that turned out. So let's pass forward. He's going to say something pretty interesting, and I want us to pay attention to this. So let me get to that. Hold on.
He's formally going to face charges on March 25th, the day of the searches, when Homeland Security searched his Los Angeles home, his Miami home, and his airplane. I knew that day by looking at the search warrants. I mean, I've been doing this for a while. This is not my first or 100th rodeo, that this was going to come as a matter of time. What I realized in early September is that it was coming soon. And so it was time for Mr. Combs to come to New York, which he did. And let me just point out one very important thing. That the prosecutors are seizing on something that happened 8 years ago. This video that we've all seen. And it's a bad video for Mr. Combs, and he said so himself when he gave his apology. This is 8 years ago, and the prosecutors are talking about him bribing a hotel security worker. There was no criminal investigation. This was just a matter of personal embarrassment because he and the person in the video were in the midst of a 10-year relationship that was difficult at times, that was toxic at times, but it was mutually so. And this whole notion that Mr. Combs is forcing drugs on someone is just nonsensical, and it's going to prove to not be true.
Well, on that video, he initially denied the allegations when his then girlfriend, who is in that video, filed a lawsuit last fall. And we have that video. I should note CNN was the first outlet to exclusively report on it. He denied that happened when she filed it in a complaint. And then when the video came out is when he apologized for it.
So I wasn't his lawyer back then, so I don't, and I don't think he denied. I mean, I think the lawyers were the ones mostly making the denial.
Well, that is a interesting point, because from what he's saying is that, yeah, it was just mutual combat and so forth. And, obviously when when the video leaked, P.Diddy took full responsibility. So that's the problem for people who are trying to defend it, because he's already been on record talking about how he took full responsibility and that he was at his lowest point and he needed to go into rehab. And we know that was capped, because later on when he got busted, they said he had that Tucci on him, where they call it pink coke, but it's not really even coke. It's some other chemicals mixed in and it turns it pink. But he literally had it on him when he got busted. So even in that apology video, when he was saying that he was going to rehab and so forth, obviously he didn't, or it didn't work, because he still had that Tucci on him. But anyway, let's go.
Denials. I think they were denying sex crimes. I mean, because at the end of the day, the gravamen of that civil complaint wasn't a misdemeanor assault, which is what you see on that video. Not minimizing it, but it's a misdemeanor assault. What the gravamen of the complaint was sex crimes, and he denied that, and he still does.
Well, and you're saying that this is all just about that one relationship, but when you read through the...
I didn't know stomping a broad out like that was a misdemeanor. Oh, okay.
Indictment, they say that there's not just one victim. They say there's multiple victims here today. And what I heard described was they said they have 50 witnesses or victims.
Yeah, I think it's 49 witnesses and one victim. I think if you broke it down, and I say that because count 2, which is the sex trafficking count, has victim number 1, and there is no victim number 2 anywhere in the indictment.
So you're saying that there
Yeah, that's kind of what I pointed out when I showed the indictment, is that based on what this attorney is saying, and as you go through the indictment, there was only just one victim and then 49 witnesses, but they were trying to frame it as if there were 50 victims, right? So I thought that was an interesting point. But let's go.
Are not other women, because what they were essentially arguing here is that he coerced and forced women into sex acts by using physical force, financial pressure, emotional abuse, and narcotics for what they described as these freak-off sessions. They saying that he self-described them as that.
Yeah, there's one victim in the indictment. That the charging
but
document.
One victim does count, right?
No, of course, but I'm just not. It's not 50. I mean, what they did, and it's a little too cute, is it's 50 witnesses or victims. Well, it's one victim. That's all that's in the indictment.
Our reporter who was in the courtroom today said that he appeared to have a stunned expression on his face. Was he surprised that he was arrested last night?
No, he definitely was not. I mean, I told him myself in early September, you are going to be arrested soon, and you're going to be charged with racketeering, and you're going to be charged with sex trafficking. So come to New York. It wasn't a long conversation. He agreed. So we knew this was coming. And in fact, we offered that he would turn himself in.
Well, we actually had the footage of him getting arrested, and he did kind of look surprised because they caught him in a hotel as he was going, I guess he had a huge entourage with him. So I don't know where they were coming from. Maybe they were just hanging out, but it looks like he was not anticipating him getting arrested at that particular moment. I think he felt as though he was going to be able to bail himself out, and that's part of the reason why he maybe went to New York voluntarily and so forth. But as we are all aware, his bailout didn't work, even when he tried to put up his house for about 50 mil. But let's go.
So if there are these witnesses and victims, and as you're saying that you believe it's one victim and 49 witnesses who saw this behavior, that's pretty powerful, though, to have that many people who have, if they go to court and argue that they witnessed this behavior by your client.
Well,
what's your defense against that going to be?
So my defense is very well established. I interviewed myself the different men who were being brought sort of into Mr. Combs and this person's intimate situation. I've flown around the country. I've interviewed a large number of them. There's not the slightest inkling, according to the interviews that I've done, of anything that's coercive, non-consensual. Nobody was too drunk. Nobody was too high. These were adults in a relation. This is a 10-year relationship. We can't forget that. This is a 10-year relationship, and it was adults and consensual, and everybody who was there wanted to be there. So I feel very confident in our position.
You said you interviewed the men, but what about?
All right, so yeah, that's his take on it. I think we had a two-part of that. I don't know if I need to play the second part, because obviously, he's his attorney, so he's going to defend him. But my question is, why don't we see more people coming out as character witnesses, right? Because here's the thing. You're supposed to have a lot of people in your corner. If you are literally just being railroaded and all of this is just fake and fraud and everybody just making it up, I would imagine that you should have some character witnesses that will come and vouch for you. I know personally, I know this goes for other people as well. I know people that will go to bat for me front and center, left and right. If any type of crazy accusations were coming, I'd be like, oh, hell no. He's nothing like that. I've never seen him do that. I've never seen, where are all the character witnesses, specifically someone like him who's allegedly so well connected. He's been in the industry so long. That to me is what kind of paints a very bad light in the situation. And again, I'm not trying to take the position just to be, jumping on board and just piling on, because I would hope that these accusations were not true. It doesn't give me any pleasure to have to even though we're having fun, with this, because you got to bring some levity to a bad situation. And we do send our condolences to, anybody who's had losses or any type of negative impact from his alleged action. So we want to be very clear about that. But at the end of the day, I think that it's very telling that you don't have more people coming out to defend him as a character witness. And then Iman Perry says JC can't go to bat for him. His career would be in jeopardy too. Yeah, and I'm not even just talking about Jay-Z. I'm talking about people who may have worked for him. Everybody who has either worked for him, just like that guy, Little Rod or whatever his name is. The people who are closest to him, whether it be producers, people who were working with him on projects, people that knew him personally from way back in the day, either they're quiet as a mouse, and like I said, their silence is deafening, or they're suing him, or they're speaking negatively against him, like Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal and people like that. Now, my thing is, if there's no validity to anything that those people are saying, and we got clips from Gene Deal coming up a little bit later as well when we get to the more prosecution side. Why are not people like Gene Deal hit with a gag order, or hit with some type of thing to say, okay, you're slandering, or you're getting sued for libel or anything like that? Because some of the things that they're saying to me would be damaging to his brand. If he didn't do any of this stuff, then it seemed to me like with the Jaguar Rights and the Gene Deals running around saying what they're saying, that would be a cause for libel, just like with what happened with Tasha K and Cardi B, right? So when Tasha K got sued by Cardi B because of what she said, which I guess was false, she got that $4 million settlement. I don't know if she got the money yet, but she won that settlement. Why wouldn't people who are saying these things about Diddy get that same type of work? That's how you know it has to be some validity to some of these accusations. And again, I'm just looking at it from the court of public opinion. I don't have a dog in this fight. Even though he's the Diddler and I'm the Dark Knight, I'm still trying to be just. I'm still trying to look at this whole thing fairly, because I don't have any particular pleasure about seeing a guy go down, especially on some crazy stuff like this. But we got to be judicious and look at this the right way. But let's get some more of the defensive side before we get into the prosecution of this. And I think somebody who's respectable, like Judge Earl Brown, I'm gonna play him next. He goes into the whole the litigious aspect of it, and I respect his opinion. But we're gonna get into some of what he has to say about the situation. I think he's leaning more toward defending him, and we're gonna take a look at it. So let's go.
Ticket resellers. Hi, I'm AP the Plug, a successful.
Now, what I'm talking about is separate and apart from P.Diddy. Over the last 50 years, I done a lot of trial work. I was a criminal defense lawyer, and starting more than 40-some years ago, I started getting clients who had federal cases, and we'd have to go to trial with the feds. I represented a lot of pimps and prostitutes 40-some years ago. And there's West Memphis, Arkansas, really close to Memphis, Tennessee, right across the bridge. And down here in Mississippi, there's what's been glamorized as P-Valley in the series. And I would have pimps transporting dancers and prostitutes across the state lines. So we'd get RICO, not RICO, but Mann Act charges against them. The Mann Act was designed to catch Jack Johnson, a black heavyweight champion of the world before World War I that could not be defeated by any great white hope. Jack Johnson had a white wife, and she had some friend girls that would travel around with her, and particularly in the South, a lot of white people found that very offensive.
Yeah, those of you should be familiar with Jack Johnson. I'm very familiar with that story. I bought the book Unforgivable Blackness, and also there was a DVD set that came with it. I think years ago PBS had that set. I bought it. Very interesting. But yeah, the judge is correct. a lot of that stems from that Mann Act. It was something that they did to try to get one man, Jack Johnson, because they couldn't defeat him in the ring. He was the worst nightmare for the white men back then. He was a big black dude who was banging white women and beating white dudes' ass and getting paid for it. Oh, hell no. So they created a whole law to get him. And what they've done is a lot of these guys like Diddy and so forth, they tend to try to kind of get them all under that same net. Now, I understand the overall point that the judge is making, but to me, that is a separate issue from the specific charges or allegations to him. So I get what he's saying. So like I said earlier, he's pretty much taking the litigious part of it, because you have the people who are saying, oh, well, we shouldn't be condemning him because he's a black man and all this. And then you got the other people who I feel are taking the legal part, which is to be expected because he's a judge. But to me, this is all public opinion, and based on the information, we just need to look at the facts as they are. But we're going to let the judge cook a little bit, and then we're going to go back in. Let's go.
So they set up the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, to develop a proposed law that became known as the Mann Act, and that was designed to get Jack Johnson. Now understand, this was this man's lawful wife, but he was riding on a train across a corner of Georgia, let's say, on the way to a seaport and on the way to Europe. And because they weren't armed at the time, the FBI was accompanied by local law enforcement officers. And in Georgia, let's just say that 100 some years ago, they did not recognize interracial marriage. So Jack Johnson was arrested for transporting a woman, his wife, across interstate lines for illicit purposes. So there is no money necessity involved in this, but it is known as the Mann Act. I'm looking at the 14-page indictment right now, and it doesn't say Mann Act anywhere in there, where usually it would. It mentions the Federal Code section. I'm looking at the rest of the 14 pages, and I find it absolutely extraordinary because there are only 3 counts to this indictment. And ordinarily, in my experience, an indictment like this would read, between the dates of 2009 up until the return of the indictment, the defendant did unlawfully transport females across state lines for illicit purposes, and they'd leave it at that. You would be guessing what they were talking about. You'd have to file motions to get a more particular statement, and the feds would fight like hell to keep you from finding out the details so they could try you by ambush. For these 3 counts in the indictment, they went over and over a lot of things. Like, for example, each particular phase of this thing, they keep repeating all of the defendants' aliases. Their standard procedure is in the very first paragraph. The defendant, in this case, and they list his aliases hereinafter known as the defendant, referred to as the defendant, and they
Exactly. Yeah, I pointed that out earlier when I pulled up the indictment, and it showed that it was kind of unusual that they would list all of his different aliases. Is kind of weird because, like the judge is just saying, and he's actually right. When they go on to refer to him, it would just it would say something like here to therefore or hitherto referred to as the defendant. And so they wouldn't just keep listing all of the aliases. So I felt that was weird. So he's pointing that out as well. But let's go.
We would just say defendant in each count where that was necessary instead of repeating all of this. 2,000 bottles of lubricant oil. What in the devil is that? That has no business in the indictment. You have other things.
Well, I mean, I think that that's something that is an interesting tidbit that, I don't mind us knowing about that, because it makes for some very interesting thumbnails and in talking points. So I disagree with the judge a little bit right there, but I get what he's saying. It necessarily, it shouldn't have necessarily been in the indictment, but I don't have a problem with that being revealed, because again, it's pretty interesting stuff, to be honest. Yeah, but anyway, let's go.
In here, the IV where the performers were given IV infusions to keep their energy up, I guess, because these things have gone on so long. Now, let's translate what they're talking about. They're talking about an accusation that they never did say, but it's inferred that Diddy was pimping an orgy that lasted a while, and he did this on a routine basis, and there were guests that they referred to in the indictment as numerous witnesses, and these guests were coming to a mansion where there were various sex acts going on in various parts of the mansion for purposes of inspiration. And the guests could join in or be inspired by what they were seeing. They even mentioned in here, which was just the scandalous superfluous in this indictment, that Diddy was masturbating during the course of some of these proceedings, which would that's surplus language. That's just trying to inflate. They referred to this thing where we saw on video him running out of the hotel room with a towel without giving any of the background behind it, and assaulting this woman. And they referred to it, and that's for inflammatory purposes, because that's just part of the pimp game. By the way, anybody's talking about, yeah, man, about pimping, man, that's what it's about. It's a filthy game. I represented enough pimps to know what the game is. Been a long time ago, but it's been the same since time immemorial. They do.
At this point, though, isn't it corroborated that Diddy was passing Cassie through the industry? Because it didn't 50 Cent come out with some receipts to show that Diddy was trying to offer Cassie to him? Correct me if I'm wrong with that, right? I did hear that Diddy was passing her around the industry, and 50 Cent did come out with some receipts that I think it was a video that Diddy sent him with her. She didn't, I think it was before we even knew who she was. Well, I guess when he had just got her on the team or whatever, the next thing you know, he started passing her around. So that's corroborated, I think, within the industry. So, but again, that's maybe just her. And then what Shadow said, he says, pimping ain't Diddy. well, Shadow, maybe pimping is Diddy, and maybe Diddy was pimping. I don't know. Let's see. Let's go.
Do call prostitution the world's second oldest profession, and whatever the first oldest one was, whoever was doing whatever that was to earn the money to pay for the services of the second oldest profession. So it's been going on for a long time. It's nothing new. And what I'm picking up on is that Diddy is being alleged to have conducted these sex shows, and he invited guests who had the use of his mansions to be involved in an orgy as they saw fit. He also is alleged to have recorded this, and that's where we get to what we're looking at. Somebody important is being or was recorded on these devices, and somebody is being protected.
Yeah, bingo. I think that's it too. And that's another point that people make. They say, well, the bottom line is that Diddy didn't act alone, and there's people above him, and then they have, I think the top guy at Universal Music Group or whatever, I forget the dude's name. He allegedly was the one that groomed Diddy, or he was definitely one of his protectors. Look at Iman Perry. Dude, ain't no telling that. Look, those, it's just like with the other guy, the epilator guy, right? The bottom line is there's a certain level of guys that got the protection. So no matter what, they're gonna make sure they stay in the shadows, and that they're gonna pretty much make whoever they need to make the scapegoat. So that's kind of what the judge is getting at right there, because we all know that for him to operate as long as he did, if any of these allegations are true, he had protection from many different positions, right? So let's not be stupid. But at the end of the day, it's in their best interest to make sure that all of this stays right with him. And if it gets to the point where it looks like he gonna talk too much, then he might get the epilator situation, if you know what I mean. But let's go.
Now, I noticed that Diddy, through his lawyer, has been in continuous contact with the feds for quite a few months. Back in March, he surrendered his passport. He returned to New York, where he did not live, and secured a residence so he could participate in the defense of the case, which is all that's required. He was supposed to have been apprised of when the indictment would be unsealed, and he would be required to report with his lawyer and surrender himself after making bond arrangements. And there was supposed to have been a discussion on how much the feds were going to recommend the bond be set at. They ambushed him and arrested him in a shopping center with some of his kinfolk, and now they want him kept incognito. Not incognito, incommunicado, so he cannot talk to anyone. That's what the feds have been doing, and most recently involving these mortgage fraud situations, so that parties who could blow the whistle on other parties were not able to communicate with anyone, even their lawyers, but say once a week. So they could not tell what they knew. And that's what we have here. It is unusual for Homeland Security to be involved in these things. And there are some references in here that the offenses had an international impact, which brings in Homeland Security instead of leaving this up to the FBI, which is for domestic matters, ordinarily of this type of thing. And remember, the FBI was set up to go get Jack Johnson so they could set up and prosecute under what became the Mann Act. So this is the FBI's bailiwick. They were only present during the service of the search warrants. They weren't the primary parties. What that indicates to me, in my experience, is that somebody in the FBI was not deemed trustworthy and might give confidential information to somebody outside, which they didn't want, so they brought in Homeland Security. This is not ordinarily the type of thing that Homeland Security deals with. So you'll notice, too, that 2 of his mansions were searched. One was in California, fine. One was in Florida. The peculiar thing about the one in Florida is that on the same lot, Diddy had a second mansion, which was not searched. And what they seem to have gotten is a lot of recordings that they confiscated. Now, you might say that's evidence in the case, but the point of the...
And let me say something about the recordings, right? Because I've heard people say that, and I think it was Corey Holcomb, I think people were like, well, he ain't going to be arrested because he got these recordings. Unless he got what's called like a dead man's hand, where if something happens to him, he has these things scattered maybe to different countries or different places that people know if he comes up missing or if anything happens to him, then people have instructions to just dump whatever he has on the public, unless he, and I don't know if he got it like that, because whatever they went and confiscated when they raided him, they probably got everything. I don't know how many copies or whatever he has backup. That only works. Those recordings can only be an insurance policy for him if he had, like I said, some type of, like what they call it, a dead man's hand, where he can tell him, look, if something happened to me, people got instructions to dump everything out, or that's typically how that works. But if they raid him when they got him, and if they took everything at that moment, and he don't have no backup, then he's done. He don't have no leverage. He's a sitting duck. If because that could have been a very strong shield for him if he did have all these different high profile people, because even from them, if they threaten him and say, hey, you better not talk, or that would always be leverage for him to have these mechanisms in place where whatever happens to him, he has some type of context, maybe, like I said, in different countries, and they already know to get the word. Once something happens to him or he goes down, hey, boom, just let everything out. That would be the only way to stop that. Iman says he said that would be the ultimate chess move. Yeah, because like I said, that's the only way he would have leverage to protect himself, is if he had that kind of setup. Because if they got everything when they raided him, he has no leverage. And I just wanted to point that out, because I've heard people say that, well, they ain't gonna arrest him, or they ain't gonna do nothing to him because he got these recordings. Nope, that only works if he has a dead man's hand, where if anything happens, he let them know, put it out there. If anything happened to me, I'm dumping. I got people in place. They dumping everything. Then he could then he might have a chance with something like that. But let's go. Let's get a little bit more of this before we go to the next clip. But let's go.
Exercise is that even though quite a few people are mentioned indirectly, only one person got indicted. In the federal practice is usually when you have months to investigate something, they indict everybody and they mention everybody, even if they are listed as an unindicted co-actor. They did not do that in this case, which is indicative of them trying to hide somebody's identity and protect some people. The other point is from what you can determine, most of this happened in Florida or California. Why no indictments returned there? And why did they pick New York? What they seem to have done is, considering the totality of the circumstances and the U.S. attorney involved, is they picked New York because it was particularly hostile to Donald Trump and particularly favorable to protecting anybody who is against Trump. So we're kind of put on clue as to who the rest of these unmentioned witnesses, meaning attendees at these events, happen to be.
If you understand what he's getting at, Iman Perry, you might be right. The name you dropped earlier, and people like that, I don't know, because if you read between the lines of what the judge just said, that's kind of interesting right there. But let's go.
The other point I find interesting is they made a big to-do during the bond review situation that they had yesterday with the fact that he had 3 disassembled carbines and some loaded magazines. Now, everybody and his mama has stuff like that in Florida, since it's a constitutional carry and gun-friendly state. In New York, there are a bunch of little freaks who get, oh my God, he's got a gun. And even though there were some federal crimes involved with altered serial numbers on the 3 receiver groups, which is against the law, I think they picked New York so they could use the fact that he had 3 weapons, which, hell, everybody on my block has got 10 times more than that, as something condemning and touching on or giving semblance to some justification. justification for not setting a bond or even allowing a bond. Now, they're going to go in front of a federal court today, I imagine. And if not, they'll probably go trot down to D.C., which is not that far from New York, and seek one of the appellate judges on the Second Circuit Court of Appeals to set a bond. They can pick anyone they want.
Yeah, but I found that was also very interesting how they didn't let him bond out as well. But anyway, I think that's pretty much as I want from the judge. But yeah, he gave a very good analysis, and so the point is that we're looking at this from all angles. So the judge is taking a more conciliatory or more defensive stance with this whole thing, but again, it looks like he's just kind of looking at it from the standpoint of the legal thing, and there's a lot of things that I feel we need to consider as far as just the history, the fact that we don't see a lot of character witnesses. We all heard about the stories and things about how he's done as artist and so forth. So, all of that has been swirling around. Even though, yeah, I mean, we could look at this and say, okay, he's to some degree he may be getting railroaded. There's obviously some people above him that are even more culpable, but does that negate the things that he actually did? So, but we're gonna keep it moving. So let's get to this next clip, and this is just talking about. Let's talk a little bit about the conditions of the prison. Right. So let's take a quick look at that. We got this little clip right here. So let's go. Fair use.
Denied bail and
fair use.
Connection with the sexual abuse and sex trafficking charges he faces. And as Les Trent reports, the music mogul who once traveled by private jet to all those mansions is now in a jail that is notorious for its bad living conditions.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility that is being called Hell on Earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence. How bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here.
But what's interesting about that? They didn't have a problem sending him there. So to me, that was them making a statement, right? Because he said there were 4 federal judges that said that they don't even want to send prisoners there. But they sent him there with the quickness and with no bail. So that's crazy. And later on, I think they were saying something about his mental health is in question now and all of this. But, we got to look at it from the standpoint of the fact that he was or is an addict. So a lot of what he may be experiencing is withdrawals. And that's the reason why he's definitely desperate to come out. But let's go.
Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, spent a harrowing year in federal custody. He says for someone used to a life of luxury like Diddy, prison life is a severe shock.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible, horrible place.
Diddy's lawyers were so eager to keep him out of jail, they offered his palatial $48 million home in Miami Beach and his private jets as bail. Today, they are even offering to restrict female visitors to his homes, except for his mother, daughters, and the mothers of his children if he is released. They told the judge the jail he was being sent to.
I felt that part was kind of weird where they said, well, they'll restrict female visitors. Well, if the allegations are true, that may not even be his preference, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's kind of funny that they would just say as if, he can only get down with the females because, it seems like he kind of swings from both ends. But I'm just pointing this out. But let's go.
Is dreadful, dirty, inhuman, and an ongoing tragedy. How's your dad doing?
How's your dad doing?
Family members appeared somber as they arrived at federal court in Manhattan today in another attempt to get out on bail. The judge cited Diddy's history of violent temper and potential intimidation of witnesses as reasons for keeping him behind bars. Diddy's former protege, singer Aubrey O'Day, is celebrating Diddy's downfall today. I feel validated, a win for women all over the world.
Combs has pled not guilty. Those were the only words he uttered in court yesterday.
We're just looking at the facts. We're not celebrating it, even though, we're adding levity, we're making, jokes here and there. But, if these allegations are true, there's a lot of people who have suffered. There are people, bodies that have dropped. When we get into the prosecuting side of it, because believe it or not, this part of the program is the defense part. So that's why I'm showing things to kind of, show the conditions and, to make him more of a sympathetic figure, showing people just kind of defending him as defense attorney, some of the things that Judge O'Brien was saying. So this is the part of the program where we're being a little bit more leaning toward the fact of maybe he is being railroaded, or maybe some of this stuff is exaggerated, who knows. But when we get to the more prosecutorial side, then we're going to see. And then Shadow Zulu says he going to commit S-aside in there. I think that they have ways to prevent that, Shadow. I'm not sure if it's that easy. He might be assisted with that, if you know what I mean. He might get a little bit of help, if you know what I mean. So we never can be sure of that, but it remains to be seen. And Iman says a win for women all over the world. Meanwhile, women all over the world going through actual hell right now. Yeah, so it's funny how they always want to make it seem as though when a guy goes down, such as him, it's a victory for women. But last time I checked, it wasn't just women who were victims of him, right? So it's just kind of funny how they like to shoehorn that in there. But let's get a little bit more. I got another clip here. This one is of him on to your point, Shadow. They said they got him on watch for that S-aside. I don't know if I can say the word, but I'm going to play this little clip to your point. Oh, that was the wrong clip. That was for if you wanted some eye candy. But there's another one where I thought I had the but he said wait until they get home. Let's see if these safe females say it's a win for women all over the world. Yeah, it's always different when it comes to that. Somehow it's no big deal when women are doing it to each other. So that's always kind of weird to me. But let me see. I thought I had that. Yeah, here it is. Is this it? I think this is the one.
Well, Sean Diddy Combs on suicide watch at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center after 2 judges denied his request for bail. This as a grand jury is expected to hear new testimony from sex workers very soon. Good Day's Lizette Nunez is outside the facility in Gowanus with the very latest. Lizette, good morning.
Good morning, Dan. So TMC is reporting that 2 sex workers.
Yeah, that's a good point, Iman. Yeah, people didn't forget all about that, but that was a big scandal down there. Yeah, in South Africa. I remember that. Yeah, man, there's a whole lot of stuff going on with that. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff surrounding Okra. Yeah, I think people, they like to forget about that kind of stuff. But yeah, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on with that. I remember that.
Are sharing their encounters with Diddy with the feds. We're also hearing that Diddy has a target on his back while he is behind bars here at the Metropolitan Detention Center. TMZ is reporting that more people plan to cooperate with the feds in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking case.
We found out that these 2 individuals, and we have actually spoken
to one of them. They are both sex workers, currently sex workers. One of them says that they had an interaction with Diddy in 2014, and they are willing to tell the feds what they know about that interaction.
Jeremy Saland, a criminal defense attorney, weighing in.
Yes, you heard me right. I did indeed call her Okra. You are correct, Shadow.
As a prosecutor, subpoena or force a witness to come speak to you in your office, but you can subpoena them to a grand jury where they can speak there or have to potentially speak there. So whether these are new witnesses, whether these are new complainants, meaning victim parties, making the allegations, will yet to be seen. But it doesn't bode well. It doesn't, certainly it's not a good thing if you're Sean Combs' team.
According to several reports, Diddy has been placed on suicide watch at the Metropolitan Correction Center in Brooklyn. The music mogul's mental state is unknown, but being placed on watch is considered to be a preventative measure. This week, 2 different judges denied his request for a $50 million bond. His lead defense attorney is attempting to move him to a different facility in New Jersey as he awaits trial. TMZ is reporting that due to his celebrity status and the allegations, this could bring unwanted attention from other inmates and be a threat to Diddy.
What we've been told by a former warden is he's a target. That's the fact of the matter, and that's why they have him in a solitary part of the jail, because they don't, he becomes a target because it's like what we've been told, it's like a badge of honor that if you were able to inflict some violence on Diddy, that gets you score points with other inmates. So that's the situation that obviously the jail officials do not want to happen.
And federal investigators have made it clear that they do have video evidence, so they have an idea of who was a part of these freak-offs. Now, the criminal defense attorney that we spoke to, he went on to say, depending on what these sex workers share, that means, potentially could mean that there would be new charges for Diddy. As the latest here from Brooklyn, we'll send things back inside.
All right, Lizette, thank you very much.
Yeah, there you have it. So, yeah, to your point, Shadow, yeah, they got him on that suicide watch. And then Iman says, honestly, I think Epilator, I don't think we could even say that dude's name. It's so much going on with that. Back on his island chilling. You never know. He said they have an idea or they have a video. Yeah, there's no telling. But you know what? Let's shift gears a little bit, because we're talking about some heavy stuff. So you know what we like to do? We like to bring balance over here. And so we're going to bring a little bit of levity to the situation. It's kind of crazy. But let's bring a little bit of levity to this whole thing. So check this out.
Is for prison. What's up, my boy? Hey, I gotta ask you some questions, man, so let's get it.
Let's do it.
All right, first off, I don't feel comfortable calling another man P. Diddy. What can I call you?
You can call me Love.
Won't be doing that. There are rumors circulating that you like men, women, little kids. Which one do you actually prefer?
It depends on my mood, my vibe.
I seen 100 bottles of baby oil in the bathroom. What's up with all that?
I can't tell you that.
It's a slippery slope, ain't it, P. Kelly? Why you moved to Miami?
Oh, for the kids.
The kids.
The family, the weather.
Don't ever twirl like that again. What your freaking head gonna miss the most when you get locked up?
I miss the people.
You shared with us that you got a secret grinder profile. What does your bio say?
I'm vivacious, eccentric, and I'm a Scorpio.
Did you just moan when you said that? What?
This dude a fool. Anyway,
what are some common misconceptions about you?
There are no misconceptions about me.
I don't think you want to say that out loud. How is it that your freaky ass still ain't got caught?
My belief in God.
When you get caught, what you gonna ask to eat when you snitch?
Fried chicken.
Damn, that was quick. You already thought about this, huh? Why you over there looking all tensed up? You all right?
I need a hug.
And sexually abused women need people to believe them, nigga. Over there, you got a bang of baby oil under that tree. What you gonna be doing with that?
Opening up a whole lot of gifts.
You going to jail, St. Nicholas? You think that's funny, huh, you booty bandit? When you be having them dildos strapped on you, what you go in the room and say?
Get ready for double the love.
Yo, rose petal shirt wearing ass. What's the best booty you ever seen on TV?
Oh, that's Eddie Murphy delirious.
Damn, you freaky as hell. Boy, don't scoot your freaky ass up here like that Kleenex box shirt wearing ass nigga. Yeah, sit on back. When was the first time you knew you was Mr. Take That, Take That?
No, I was 12.
Damn, and what, you had a boyfriend or something?
But I wasn't supposed to, but I got one anyway.
You are known for having some of the freak nastiest parties in the world. They say you gotta leave before midnight, and that's when they really strike. What do you say some of your freakiest parties were?
I would say when I got my star on Hollywood, I had a party.
Nasty ass nigga.
And this year at Burning Man.
They said they was
at
burning.
an undisclosed location.
What in the Epstein Island do you got going on? You got a Diddler's lair out there, don't you? Where it really, you know what? I don't even want to know. What is the craziest thing you ever had at a party?
One time I had the Declaration of Independence in one of my 4th of July parties. It was a 4th of July white party. And the white party's coming back this year, by the way, for charity.
What's the charity called? Nuts for Butts? You ain't about to fool me, have you up in there thinking, oh, don't run up on me now, P. Diddy. You think Cassie got you for that money? You hit me, you gonna be Dame Dash broke. Who you really want to be up in that thing, though?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
How you end up on the couch? Close your mouth. Why you looking at me like that, ugly ass nigga? If you could bring any artist back, who would it be?
Michael Jackson.
You on an island stranded for 24 hours with any famous person. Who would it be?
Denzel Washington.
Did you hear what I said? On the island. Why would you want to be on the island? I hear you, man, but you're going to have to turn into Bill Cosby if you're going to get Denzel to do... Did you just lick your lips while we talking about Denzel? That's crazy, man.
That's all. You just want a little bit of peace and love.
A little peace and love on the island, huh? I mean, I understand that, but boy, don't ever... I will call the authorities on you.
Brave man.
Is that a threat? Is that a threat? Listen, you know what? I'm going to just ask you some true or false questions. We can wrap this up, all right?
Sure, let's go.
All right. Is you really the Diddler?
False.
Come on, man. Don't tell me the truth. Did they find 1 million pounds of baby oil in your house?
True.
When Usher lived with you when he was 14, you used to play wrestle with him and his tighty whities.
False.
When Usher was 15 and he lived with you, you used to play wrestle with him and his tighty whities.
True.
Sometimes when you would have sex with Young Miami, you would make her put on a Meek Mill mask.
False.
Yeah, you didn't think I knew about that, huh? And you used to have Farnsworth Bentley hold your umbrella in the house.
That's absolutely false.
You got to tell Diddy no, and even if you do tell Diddy no, it doesn't matter because he's still going to drug you up and sexually assault you anyway.
Damn. That's true.
I knew it.
Yeah.
You got to go to jail, nigga. 10 for a week.
All right.
That dude is a fool. Well, man, shout out to him, man. That's crazy. But anyway, yeah. So, like I said, we're not trying to trivialize the things that already happened, because again, if there's if these allegations are true, there's actual victims and so forth. We send our condolences to them and the family. But just by virtue of who's involved, we're dealing with entertainers. So this is by nature entertaining. So we're gonna be doing clips like that and bringing our point of view. Shao Zulu crying, but yeah. So we got to bring some levity because these are some very heavy allegations and so forth. So we're just kind of bringing balance over here. But yeah, we're gonna get into the more prosecutorial side of this, because you heard people, including Diddy's defense attorney and some of the positions that they're taking. But now we're just kind of look at the other side, right? And this is when the Department of Justice announced the indictment. So we're gonna play a little bit of this. So let's go.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Damian Williams, and I'm the U.S. Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today, I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
You know what, Iman, you're making a very good point. You know what? I'm glad you said that, because I find myself in a similar thing, because I had to delete like some of his old songs and things like that. So, because even if these things are false, which I don't think at this point we can in good conscience say that all of this is made up, and just, because we've seen a lot of information on our own. Besides these official accusations, we knew he was moving kind of funny. I mean, we got clips on that too that I'm gonna play a little bit later. As far as just some of the things he would say, to other dudes and all that, calling dudes daddy and all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of weird, right? He's been moving funny style for quite some time. But I get your point as far as just other people who may be involved that you might be looking at with some degree of respect, and then next thing you know, they get caught up in all this. And Diddy, to me, his name is already done. So even if he ever gets out of this situation, which is doubtful if he will, but he's not going to ever recover to the point where he's going to be anybody that's going to be respectable. It looks to me like they're about to do a freak off with his money, because if you read through that indictment, a lot of that stuff, like the money that he gained from his endeavors, his business endeavors, it's all eligible to be confiscated. Just like how you do a criminal organization, just like when they bring down a kingpin or what have you, and all of the what they would consider ill-gotten gains, those could all be taken because of, they could say, oh, this was all based on a criminal enterprise, so they could take it. So in that case, he's done, and so that, but I get what your point is, so I agree with that. But let's get a little bit of this.
The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force.
But here's the thing, and just like, when we were dealing with the defense side, and I was kind of, asking specific questions. Now here's another thing for this prosecutorial side. So they knew all of this all the time, and even as the general public, people who had nothing to do with this, all of these things were swirling around for so many years. Remember that woman who got shot allegedly in the club when he was with J-Lo? She had been saying for years that it was him. Nobody paid attention to her. Now I guess all of a sudden she's getting a little bit of shine, but where were all these guys then? That's all I want to know when it was open, because I guess Shine took the fall, when his artist Shine, he went down for that, because I remember when all that first popped off, right? But as time went on, all the rumors started coming out that it was actually him, and then that woman who actually got shot, she was the one that pointed out and said it was him. So I just find it kind of interesting that all this time has passed, where all these different things happened, just like that alleged situation when he was out in LA, I believe it was, when there was a guy that him and his son allegedly shot in a bathroom, and they were saying that they were out there, LAPD or whoever were covering for him, and that they were saying it was a drive-by, when in actuality it come to find out that this happened inside of a studio. So you got all this different stuff surrounding, not to mention the whole thing about Tupac, and that there was allegedly that he put a hit of about $1 million on his head. So it's because like I said, we heard all this stuff. So where there's smoke, there's fire. And I don't necessarily believe when people start saying negative things about people. I'm not one of these guys who believe rumors, but when there's all these different sources and all these different people saying the same thing, then you got to raise an eyebrow and be like, man, there got to be something to this. So that's the only thing I would say to that. But my question once again is for these, like this guy and all the rest of them who are now pursuing this case against them, where were they for all these years when all these serious accusations and allegations were surrounding him? So I just find that pretty interesting that now all of a sudden, all this is coming to a head. But let's go.
And coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse.
Yeah, I caught that too. Yeah, they always emphasize that, right? So it's kind of interesting how all of a sudden it becomes this huge issue once it crosses state lines, and they never mention the states. It's just, so what states are we talking about? So it's just, you know, but it's like Judge O'Brien said though, they don't mention it in the indictment. They don't mention the Mann Act, but that's essentially what that is when he's talking about state lines, because that's how they got Jack Johnson. But I hate conflating this with Jack Johnson, because Jack Johnson is a whole different situation. And when people, even Judge Joe Brown, who I respect, conflate those, I think that they're kind of they're trying to put them in the same category, and I don't like that, because Jack Johnson, to me, is still a respectable figure, and he wasn't accused of half of this type of stuff. He was just being demonized because he was a black man at the time, being heavyweight champ, and they couldn't beat him in the ring, and he was, you know, he had a penchant for white women, so that's not a crime. But they were going after him, and they created those laws against him for that reason. So that, to me, is a whole nother situation. Than, even though they're using that against Diddy, I don't like the comparison when it comes to that. But yeah, you're right, Iman. That is basically what he's talking about, is the Mann Act, without even mentioning it. But let's go.
So that they would participate in the freak-offs, and that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. On one occasion...
But you know what's funny? What he's describing is everything that we saw in that particular video. So I just feel that that's kind of an interesting choice of words to say specifically that what we saw that he did to Cassie, all of a sudden, and that was just kind of standard operating procedure, and he just did everybody like that. So I just felt that that was kind of, you know, they just put that in there because they knew that that's what we all saw. So they made sure to mention that and then make it general, because we don't have evidence, or at least not video, of him doing that to anyone other than Cassie. But based on what he just said, it looks like they were kind of making this something that he was just doing on a regular. Yeah, let's go.
In March of 2016, that conduct was captured on video.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, and that's kind of what his defense attorney said. His defense attorney was like, well, there's all of these different, quote, witnesses, but they're framing it like there's 50 victims. But he said when you go through an indictment, it's one victim and then 49 witnesses. So that's why it's, you know, it's kind of funny how they're moving the goalpost with that. So,
and later reported in the media. Specifically, Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a victim in a Los Angeles hotel when the victim was attempting to flee. As alleged, these assaults often resulted in injuries to the victims, which took days or weeks to heal. In addition to the violence.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, you know, we're just looking at everything as it's coming out. I don't have a particular dog in the fight. If there was a preponderance of evidence that was showing that this was all BS and made up, and I would be, you know, saying that. If it looks like that there's some things that he was doing, hey, that were illegal or whatever, or at the very least immoral, then we need to point that out. So I don't, as I mentioned, have a dog in the fight other than to just look at it. But even when I see it on the prosecutorial side and they look kind of weird, the way they're framing stuff, I'm gonna have to point that out as well, just like I did with the defense. Charles Zulu says, I'm surprised Diddy didn't pull a Russell Simmons and flee to Valley. Yeah, you know what? That's so funny you should say that, because I think he had already been out of the country before, since all this popped off, and he just happened to come back. But I think in certain cases, Shadow, I think that even if you do that, they can still get him, which is kind of weird. Even though some of these countries don't have extradition treaties, I think there's some type of loophole that they can still get them depending on the situation. But yeah, I agree with you, man. If you got that kind of money, to be honest, it's kind of funny to me that he didn't do a lot of stuff that he apparently liked to do in other locations, if you know what I mean. But he decided to kind of stay within continental U.S. when he had to go up against things like the Mann Act, where he's just going for, if he like to go from state to state, if he was in certain places, say like, you know, South America somewhere, I'm not sure they have the equivalent of a Mann Act down there. So it's just kind of funny that you know, he decided to just kind of stay within the continental U.S. with all of this. But I guess at the time he wasn't thinking along the lines of that he would ever get caught, or that he was doing anything that would warrant this happening to him. So, but let's go.
The indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims. And the indictment alleges that he maintained control over the victims in several ways, including by giving them drugs, by giving and threatening to take away financial support or housing, by promising them career opportunities, by monitoring their whereabouts, and even by dictating their physical appearance. Because of all of this, the indictment alleges that the victims did not believe they could refuse Combs without risking their security or facing more abuse. The indictment also alleges other acts of.
So what do you guys think about that argument? Because there's something to be said about being an adult and saying, listen, I'm not going to be in a situation, no matter how many threats you're trying to give me, I'm getting up out of that situation. So if and I pointed this out before when we covered this story, I don't give a damn how much of a career you're trying to hold over somebody's head. If they have honor and integrity and they're not going to compromise themselves, they'll say, screw that. No Diddy, no pun intended. Pause, but screw that. I'll do something else, but I'm not going to compromise myself, especially if you're a dude. So if you're a dude and you winded up in these compromising situations and you feel like he has so much leverage because of your goddamn career, then that's on you, bro. I mean, if you sit there and let a man dictate to you like that, pause again, no, I use the word dictate, but no Diddy. If you gonna sit up there and let a dude have that much leverage over you just because of your freaking career, man, to me, you got what you got, because you're supposed to be able to stand on principle at some point and be like, listen, if you ain't participating as an adult, because whatever, look, my point is, that's the business that everybody know what it is. Ain't nobody stupid. He ain't the only one doing all of that. That's been the worst kept secret in history as far as how Hollywood get down. So if you trying to get into the business and you know that there's certain limits that you don't want to go to, certain rooms you don't want to go in, you got an option to say no. And that's one of the reasons why I respect Corey Holcomb, because he points that out. He says, you know what it is once you get out there. Because he, like he said, when he left Chicago and decided to go out to LA, when he first got out there, he didn't know what it was. But once he saw what it was, he was like, nah, he knew the fast track to wanting to, get put on, to become a household name and what that took. And he wasn't willing to do it. But he said that there's so many guys who go out there, they already know what it is. So if you already know what it is and you already know you're willing to compromise yourself in that way, then it is what it is at that point. And then Iman says, who are the victims? Give us names, Chief. Yeah, exactly. And then he said, yup, I respect Corey Holcomb for that. Yeah, so that's one thing. And I ain't saying I agree with everything he said, because he be saying some outlandish stuff sometimes. But at the end of the day, you got to stand on your principles as a man. And if you know that you're not going to want to compromise yourself and you still want to be in that business, you got to understand that you're just going to be limited. You ain't going to be, certain doors aren't going to open for you. So you just got to be comfortable with that and build your own audience, build your own brand, and move like that, and just say, I'm going to get it out the mud and do it the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it out the mud the other way. I ain't going to get it out the mud the other way. You know what I mean? So if you get my drift. So that's the bottom line when it comes to that. Now, when it comes from the woman's point of view, women by definition would be more willing to compromise certain things. But even with them, if they have more integrity and self-respect, then there's certain things that they shouldn't do either. And if they found themselves at a Diddy party and doing all this stuff, then they already know what it is, as far as I'm concerned. But there is something to be said about if you're at a party and you think it's one thing, but then all of a sudden, for example, if they're passing out champagne and you may not be a heavy drinker, but you're just taking champagne, but then they done spiked it with something to loosen you up. And that would be my question, because I'm not very clear as to whether or not these people who are at these parties were aware that sometimes these drinks would be spiked and, you know, with certain things, or if they were openly taking drugs or taking certain intoxicants that would make them lose their inhibitions. That's one thing. But then they know what they're getting into. But if there's some people who were just there and they just thought it was just like a regular party and they were just having champagne and they didn't realize that it had been spiked, then I think they have a case for that, to say, well, wait a minute, these people were victims because they were deceived, essentially. So, you know, on that part of it, I can get it. But let's go.
Violence undertaken by Combs and others, including violence against witnesses to his abuse, kidnapping, and arson.
Did you call him cheek meal? Man, you wrong for that, Iman. You are wrong for that. That man, that's crazy.
The indictment alleges that on more than one occasion, Combs carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten victims and witnesses. Now, Combs did not do this all on his own. As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy. He used his business and employees of that business and other close associates to get his way. Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff.
Okay, so that means that was basically run like a criminal organization. So that means all of them need to be indicted too. So it sounds to me like those are all accessories. And since this is all being criminalized and they're in this whole enterprise that he had was essentially a criminal organization. So I guess a whole lot of other heads are going to roll too, all the people that were assisting him. So, you know, I guess we should be staying tuned for as they roll out with more people getting that indictment as well. But let's go.
The indictment alleges that those individuals facilitated the freak-offs. They booked the hotel rooms and stocked them with the supplies, including drugs, baby oil, personal lubricant, extra linens, and lighting. When the hotel rooms got damaged, they helped clean it up.
Damaged, man. Man, what kind of freak-offs were they having, man? They were damaging the hotel rooms.
They arranged for victims and commercial sex workers to travel for the freak-offs, and they delivered large quantities of cash to Combs to pay for the commercial sex workers. The indictment.
And speaking of, he mentioned all that oil, and while we were on the subject, I think it's time for another moment of levity here. And it's kind of interesting that they would mention that. Let me see where it is. Yeah, because we were talking about Corey earlier, but I hope Corey didn't supply Diddy with none of this right here. Shout out to Corey.
It's what you need to get the ash off your leg and off your knees. Cop you a bottle and start to squeeze that human lube. It's what you need to use it in your hair to grease your scalp. Rub your girlfriend's back and she won't pout from that human lube. It's what you need to use. Sensitive skin, no need to trip. If you buy yourself, use it on your human lube. It's what you need to use. The best part of waking up is a slippery girl with a slippery human lube. It's what you need to use. Shut up, bitch. Cause you got on that human lube. Rub it on your hard foot ass.
Y'all know what's up. Human lube. Mess with me, man.
Go to 5150skin.com, man. Good people making good products. 5150!
Yeah, that's my shot down bro right there, Corey Holcomb, with the human lube. I hope he didn't supply Diddy with none of that. But anyway, but let's continue. Oh, speaking of that, let me get his take on this whole thing, because I think I got some. I think with that prosecutor, I think we pretty much got enough of that, what he had to say. But let's see what he got to say about this whole thing, Mr. Holcomb.
Or he wasn't going to go to jail or whatever.
Flashback. I don't know why everybody think for sure Puffy is going to jail. Y'all don't know how this game go, dog. You got that bread. You can be out here on these streets. I bet my life Puffy ain't finna see no jail.
Corey, better hope nobody collects on that bet, but let's go.
Because Puffy got something that's even better than currency.
Well, Shadow said Diddy got the prototype version of human lube before it got mass produced. Yeah. I hope Corey didn't supply with none of that human lube. That's all I got to say.
Puffy got videos of your favorite actor, politician, religious figures.
But that's what this is where Corey was wrong, because it's like my point that I made earlier. That's only effective. Like he's saying, if he has all that video of all these people that he's mentioning, that's only effective if he had what's called a dead man's hand. If he let it be known, if anything happens to him up to and including going to jail, he dropping everything. Then he probably wouldn't be in jail. See, Corey miscalculated, because when they did that raid on him, they probably got everything. He probably didn't get a chance to distribute it. He probably didn't get a chance to put it in all these different places, right? Because he could have put it in a whole nother, bunch of different countries, had some contacts in these different countries, and been like, yeah, but if I go down, it's like that part in New Jack City. We played it, we played New Jack or New Diddy City in the beginning. I might play it again, but at the end when he said, I'm taking a whole lot of people with me if I go down, if he put that word out there to them people, and they knew that he could drop that, then he probably wouldn't be in jail. But I don't think he had that. But let's go.
D Whisper. I'm not talking about regular politicians. He got video of the dude who y'all thought was finna save America. I bet my life everybody you believed in getting raw dogged. I bet my life that man ain't finna go to jail. I'm like, yo, man, if this man's smart enough to videotape all this.
Yeah, I call it New Diddy City. Shadow, did you see New Diddy City in the beginning? I'm gonna have to play it again real quick, but it's in the intro. We call it New Diddy City.
Up to heap in the hole. How they gonna take him to jail? Puffy probably can walk up to the judge. Oh, you want your video out?
Oh, you never know. Yeah.
Puffy, one thing he not is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
He done some crazy shit that came from being cocky.
Mm-hmm.
But if that man got everybody on video, man.
He's got a lot of...
your favorite action star. Hey, I'll kick your ass. Puffy got him on video. Hit that ass. Yeah.
Well, he a damn fool.
3,000 whoop-whoos later.
Breaking news tonight, Sean Diddy Combs has been arrested in a Manhattan hotel this evening after a grand jury indicted the music mogul.
What we learned could bring the whole music industry down. Fueled sex parties, they're called freak-offs. Diddy lured women into his world and then manipulated them to participate in highly orchestrated sex acts with male prostitutes while Diddy watched and pleasured himself.
Diddy. So I have the full Diddy sealed indictment, but it has been unsealed. Okay, so this was Diddy got hit with the RICO.
Who came and told him to turn himself in? Wasn't it the Fed? See, I know when certain people put a case on you, when certain people come see you, it's like that scene in that movie Belly. Remember they was playing ball with DMX was playing ball, and the dude was like, "Hey, how you doing?" You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be righteous, but at the same time say righteous. The brother used his power and influence against the black community. That's the truth.
Now that point right there is a very key point that Corey said, because that was one of the points I was making for all the people who want to just blindly back him and come up with all these legal frameworks and make these cases as if he a black man, he being railroaded. Well, here's the thing. I could rock with you on that because we all know the history of the so-called criminal justice system. We get that, but that's a separate issue from the fact of what Diddy allegedly did, because he pretty much, if any of these allegations are true, the predominant group that he was victimizing were black people, to Corey's point. So the bottom line is, what exactly are you defending? Are you defending someone, or are you saying that one man's life is more important than all of the lives that he could have destroyed simply because he's black and quote allegedly a billionaire? So what's the rationale for someone to take a position to want to defend him? And I got, I seen people from all different perspectives, right? People, whether they're in the legal profession or whatever, they're putting all of these elaborate cases together in the court of public opinion to make it seem as though he's just being railroaded. And as a black man, we need to somehow rally behind him. I said, well, wait a minute. Are you using that same energy for all these actual black men that are being railroaded in the system, who ain't accused of half of what this guy allegedly did, or who are very much innocent? In fact, they have something called the Innocence Project, where they are literally black men who are sitting in jail right now who have done far less than Diddy, who have done nothing in some cases, and they're sitting somewhere rotting in the prison. Why are you not using your legal acumen and your ability to decipher all of these legal terms? Why are you not speaking up for them? Or I guess that's not sexy enough, that's not flashy, so therefore they get to rot in jail while you're using all of your time to just do Monday morning quarterbacking about this Diddy case. So I see a lot of people who are making these rather specious arguments about all of what's happening to this man, when there's actual people, black men to be exact, who are being literally railroaded, and they have not done any of that stuff. So I just feel like a better use of their time for all these guys who want to come out and defend Diddy and act like, well, he's just innocent as a driven snow or whatever. Why are you not going and bringing out cases of guys just like what the Innocence Project does, when these guys are actually sitting in jail, being victimized, and they are actually victims of the criminal justice system because they didn't do anything, they were framed, and there's evidence to exonerate them, but they're not getting the high profile attention like this case. And that's the tragedy to me of this whole situation. The victims that could be, as a result of what he's did allegedly, those people, and the fact that you got people who will still be willing to defend them, and they're using all of that energy and brain power to concoct things about how this guy needs to be saved, when you have all these other guys who are just literally right now as we speak rotting in prison, and they literally didn't do anything. So I would prefer to see those type of conversations. If they're going to be so staunch and so strong to defend him, why don't they defend those guys? But that's just me ranting a little bit. But yeah, just it's very annoying to me that that's what people would choose to do just because he's a high profile guy. And I just see so much deference, or so many people giving him the benefit of the doubt just because of his position. And I think that's BS. But anyway, let's go. But yeah, but Corey did make a very good point about the fact that look at who he's victimizing. That's the thing about it. So for all the people who want to defend him, even if you believe a lot of these are trumped up charges or whatever, look at, just from the business standpoint, look at all the people, the groups and people that are broke right now that were dealing with this guy. At the very least, and we're going to bring out some more information a little bit later he did dirty business to a lot of people. So, and those were predominantly black people as well. But let's go.
I didn't see him beating up on white. I didn't see him beating up on Caucasian women.
Yeah, let's not even get into Imhoff, man. That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing right there.
One who takes that the wrong way know why they take it the wrong way.
September on the way, man. You still think?
Yeah, so you see what I'm saying? That's the point. So they want to sit there and then cry and bitch and moan about what's happening to him. And again, there's an ample amount of evidence, or at least there's an ample amount of circumstantial evidence. I ain't gonna say outright evidence, but it is, because we do got video of certain things, right? But at least circumstantial evidence about him being guilty, at least some of this stuff, right? But they're breaking their necks to create all of these legal or just philosophical defenses for what he may or may not have done. So it's just kind of crazy to me. Yeah, we're gonna play that. He said that Cat Williams interview got to be at 100 million views at this point. You know what's so funny, Iman? I still have not seen that interview. And judging by the numbers, I might be the only person that has not. I've seen clips of it, just like this clip right here. I guess let's see if I can play a little of it here. But yeah, I still have not seen that interview. Not the whole interview.
Especially in the music.
It's coming in September.
They take it the wrong way.
So
let me see.
You is all lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way know why they take it the wrong way.
September on the way, man. You still think Diddy getting arrested? So I believe it's coming in September. Because you got to.
So like Gene Deal hit the nail on the head, because whenever he did this interview, he was right. You know how he's about to break it down. He looks like he knew what he was talking about. But let's go.
Realize the grand jury intervened. They may have 45 days, 60 days, 90 days. They never usually go past 120 days. They got enough information, he's probably willing to plea bargain or see if they're going to give him that. That's why all these documentaries and these people are waiting on. They waiting on him to get arrested. They waiting on the grand jury to say, we find him guilty, we indict him, and the whole 9 yards. And watch how many documentaries and how many YouTubers and everybody going to talk about it and everything. Everything like that.
He's a monster. He's literally a monster.
The billionaire rapper.
I'm a savage! Oh yeah, thanks, bro. Yeah, what I was saying was, I put the banner on the screen, but I was saying that based on what Gene Deal said about everybody coming out with those documentaries, I was like, yeah, we're in the process of working on many things behind the scenes, including official acknowledgement of the creation of the phrase "Did he do it?" among other things. We'll keep you posted. And I bought all domains related to that title, which can be monetized just in case. It's time to put gates up and protect any and all intellectual property. So yeah, so it's just a matter of doing. And that's saying that I need to get credit for everything surrounding that, but I'm just use that as an example for you guys to make sure that you're protecting yourself as well, especially in this situation that we have going on. Yeah, exactly. So let's get it.
On 60 Minutes.
I saw the aftermath.
You expect to see Diddy in handcuffs?
I do. Each one of those charges carries with it a 25-year sentence.
Next.
I'm not here to rub it in, but I'm saying you was a terror to us, the people, the women, and the men. I don't know if this is true about the baby oil.
Special agents from HSI executed search warrants at Combs' residences in Miami and Los Angeles.
Get this food off this. Yeah, this academics dude. I don't know. He got his come up talking about Chi-Town. He's never even been to the Chi, so he calls a lot of BS in the Chi. So I kind of got an issue with this guy. I don't want to hear what he got to say because I know too many people in the Chi, and that that's where I'm from. And I might have to do a video on that dude. But anyway, we'll move on.
It was a slippery slope like that. Sometimes you need lube.
This is probably what the room looked like when they counted the bottles. Where do you keep this? One. How the way I cannot I have no words. It's not funny, but I cannot process how we got here.
People who say you're only interested in the Middle East for oil.
What? Huh? Oil? Who said something about oil? You cooking?
Yeah, there's never been an image of Diddy in handcuffs.
No, we need that. We need that. I need that perp walk. So as I keep reaching out to victims, I can let them know it's safe to come outside.
Greetings, you polite savages.
Yeah, shout out to them, THPP Network. They made some funny stuff. But yeah, it's crazy, man, how all of this is unfolding. But we're going to get a few more of these clips on deck. You know what? This is kind of crazy because this is one of the videos I was telling you guys about as far as how there's so much circumstantial evidence about him talking about stuff. So I got this video now of him describing freak-offs because all of this information is coming out now. So I'm going to play this one right here. Oh, hold on. This old interview where he was kind of dry snitching.
Disturbing clip.
He was dry snitching on himself. What did Iman say? Iman said it's safe to come outside. There's still more predators walking the streets, Jaguar. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess she think that just because he went down, all of them down. Nah. Nope.
Has resurfaced of Diddy admitting to how his freak-off parties went down.
You're disgusting.
Now, we already know he had men and women.
Yeah, exactly, Iman. It's all about feel-good-isms and all that stuff. They just want to feel good. Meanwhile, the big fish get away. Crazy.
Ex-workers at all of his freak-offs, but this is the first time I've actually heard it from his own mouth.
Tell me about it.
Now stay tuned to this video as I will be showing the full clip of Dirty Diddy admitting to it all. Now a lot of new information has been coming out since his investigation and even more after his arrest. Now Crystal McKinney, a woman he was alleged to have assaulted, is now being told by Diddy and his attorney that her claims are beyond the statute of limitations and he wants her case thrown out.
Miss Honey, I did it.
Not that he didn't do it, but he's saying it passed the 7-year mark. Crazy. Now Diddy also is realizing he did some.
Hey, Iman, I haven't heard about that in a while. Wasn't there some stuff about Vin Diesel as well? I did hear about something coming out about him, but I hadn't heard about anything since then. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, but I forgot even what the accusations were. So could you refresh our memory with that? Because I do remember hearing something about him doing something as well a while back.
Some terrible dirt and is stating he's worried about his kids and he misses them. Now maybe he should have thought about that before he did all them damn crimes.
I need women, I need drugs, I need drink.
Now it seems now since his mind is clear and off that booger sugar, he remembered he got 7 kids that he was responsible for. And he better get comfortable in MDC. Cameron Limsey, a retired warden of MDC Brooklyn and an expert witness in corrections, indicates that the rapper has a long road ahead at the Brooklyn facility. Also indicated his huge celebrity status and allegations of violence against women make him a very attractive target for assault, Lindsay indicates.
And in subculture in the world of jails and prisons, to deliver a hit on somebody like him would be considered an actual badge of honor. Now, they made mention of R. Kelly being locked up in that same prison before he went to trial, and they indicated if Diddy is going to be experiencing anything like I know R. Kelly experienced, it's not going to be good. On the daily, we were concerned about whether or not R. Kelly was alive, frankly. It is inhumane, a whole other world.
Yeah, Iman, you know what? I may have vaguely heard something about that, but it's been so many I've lost count, and I really don't like a lot of that stuff staying in my mind too long. So it just kind of in and out. I feel like, you got to kind of wash, just like you got to wash your hands. You got to kind of wash, I might go listen to some jazz or something to just get all of it. Even after this, man, I don't want to even hear about too much of this after I, finish with this story, because a lot of this stuff I'm just reporting it for the sake of content. But yeah, man, I think I vaguely remember something like that, but it didn't stay in my mind. But yeah, that's kind of a disgusting concept right there. But I heard he was actually, I heard that the guy Carl Winslow was in a relationship with the father of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I don't know how true that is, but maybe you've heard that as well. So I did hear that he swung that way. But yeah, that's kind of something I don't want to dwell on too long. But let's go.
I mean, grown men cry. Now, Diddy was actually on video admitting to how his freak-offs actually went down and everything that was needed to make a successful freak-off. Now, I'm pretty sure he didn't realize.
Oh, you didn't hear that? Yeah, research it, man. Look it up. I heard that.
This would come back to bite him later, but everything he's saying in this video is pretty accurate to what he's currently being charged for. Y'all,
nope, not kidding. It's real, man. Look it up.
Check this out.
Okay.
But allegedly, this is Diddy on Conan O'Brien. And shout out to Lionel B for bringing this clip out. But yeah, that's what I heard. Him and Uncle Phil had a thing. But yeah, go research it. Two family dads of all things, bro. But yeah, check it out. But this is him talking about out in the open what goes on at the parties, right? So that's kind of him openly dry snitching on himself. Well, let's go.
Let me ask you for some advice here, because clearly I need some.
Oh, what was that?
I'm the human beatbox. Nobody. You're legendary for the parties.
Iman, you might have to do that. You might have to just get your entertainment from the Night Rider Squadcast from now on, bro.
That you throw. You throw a great party.
I'm a legend, baby, for a whole bunch of things.
Yes. Huh?
Yeah.
Have a loud show now, yeah. You're a killer party. What's the ingredient? What do you do to make just an amazing killer party? Because mine, I put out the Cheese Whiz. I put on the Paula Anka. No one comes. Wrong move.
See, you're doing the wrong things.
Wrong thing. Okay.
This is what you need to do. Women, beautiful women, of course.
Beautiful women.
Beautiful men for the ladies, of course.
Wouldn't it be better if there weren't beautiful men there? There were just a lot of beautiful women.
I don't generally refer to men as beautiful, so that's a kind of a weird choice of words. It's like I've taught you guys before, the word is handsome, just like I don't like when women call men cute. The word for men is handsome, but I just felt that was a weird choice of words. Well, let's go.
And then just the guy.
No. You have to make. There's enough ladies to go around. You have to make the ladies, give the ladies what they need too. You have to take care of your women.
Take care of the ladies. Okay,
ladies, yeah.
Gotcha. That's good.
Can't force the situation.
Right. What about?
Can't force a square peg into a round hole.
That's the story of my life, my friend.
Okay, you need that.
I wish you had told me that a long time ago.
Well, I'm here now, brother. It's not too late.
What about?
He said you can't force a square peg in a round hole. Pause. No Diddy.
What about like celebrities? You have a lot of celebrities
at your. First you have to listen. I'm giving you the menu. Okay. Let's just take things slow. Okay. Okay. It's all right. He's learning. He's learning.
He's learning,
and
and I'm slow.
Yes. Check
I'm
it out.
very slow.
Check it out. This is my man. We go way back, but he hasn't told y'all that. We'll talk about that later.
We go way back.
Way back. But check this out.
When was that, by the way? we'll get to that later. All right.
Okay. Now, we need alcohols.
Right.
Alcohols.
Right. Not just one alcohol.
Alcohols.
Right. Just different blend. You need the ladies. You need the booze.
You need some water.
For watering plants?
No. I don't know if guys have noticed this. Like, a lot of ladies drink water at parties. They just, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but
yeah.
Rock with me, but just check it out. You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat. You mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning.
No.
Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
That just sounds disgusting. What are you talking?
Depends on the way you look at it.
Depends. Oh, people start getting gets kind of sexy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you sexy. New word for you.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't saying. No, it was a new
Sean,
party.
you're in my house now, you see.
Please,
you stumbled into my house.
Please.
It's okay. It's going to be fine.
Okay, cool. Please let me finish.
Okay. Please.
You need some good music, and you need me, of course.
Yes, you spice up the party.
That is absolutely crazy. Did y'all peep how Diddy said, we got to keep the women in there, and also indicated they got to have water and also no AC. And of course, he didn't want to mention drugs, but you already know, man, that was one of the main things he had to have on deck.
Yeah, he mentioned everything except that, but yeah. And then Iman says he was at the freak off. When you say who, are you talking about Conan, Iman? Are you... At this point, I wouldn't be surprised at who was there. Super Black Passport Bro in the building. He said, I saw the unsealed indictment. They said Night Riders was the cameraman. No way, bro. We got the indictment right here. We already showed it, bro. We didn't see that in the indictment. No, don't put us in there, bro. I'd have been to some nice parties, but there wasn't no freak offs going on, That was back in the day, but nah, we kept it regular. Yeah, but good to see you though, bro. Yeah, I figure Iman like some stuff like that. There's Iman, that's the one you gotta watch though. You gotta watch that Iman Perry though. You never know with him.
And let's not forget to mention those damn IVs that he got exposed for having because people was getting dehydrated from them damn marathons they had going on. Man, Diddy had these women doing some of the craziest things you could ever imagine at his parties. And for him to actually come out in public and state that, man, that is absolutely crazy. I'm pretty sure he never thought he would get caught up. But man, one thing about the internet is when you done did it and it's out there, people can always reference it back. And I'm surprised he didn't mention the damn baby oil. Now, the baby oil has been a big thing in this case. Why you ain't just get on stage and mention the baby oil? That was the only thing that he didn't mention.
Everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
That just sounds disgusting. What are you doing?
Depends on the way.
You are wrong for that, Super Passport, bro. Don't get those type of rumors started, bro.
Way you look at it.
Now, we all looking at it the same way. Diddy, you is a dirty ass ninja. Y'all, man, you can't make this kind of stuff up, man. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this, man. How do y'all feel about Diddler and all the crazy deviant stuff he's been charged for and all this stuff that's being alleged about Diddy? Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this, man. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the videos. Share these videos, and I'm going to peep y'all on the next.
Yeah, man, that's some wild stuff right there. And he might say it's no wonder Diddy was doing those marathons. Yeah. Man. Two Passport Bro said, I'm just joking, bro. It's all love. No Diddy. Yeah, you got to make sure you put the no Diddy in there, man. I'm going to have to pause and no Diddy this whole episode, man. In fact, that's why I put it in the title, because I knew there was going to be some crazy stuff said. So we just had to put the pause and no Diddy right in the title, bro. Shao Zulu says Knight Rider had a 16K camera. So did they even have 16K cameras back then? Man, you guys, I hate for you guys to be my prosecutors, man. You coming up with technologies that didn't even exist back then. Anyway, yeah, let's get some more of these clips. This is him, some more on the prosecutorial side where they're bringing out more information about him. But let's go.
Now, if you remember Cassie's lawsuit against Diddy, she did say Diddy made her pour excessive amounts of oil on her body during their freak-offs. Now, if you don't know what the freak-offs are, basically Diddy would force Cassie to perform acts on male escorts while he would watch and record and collect the footage for blackmail. And Cassie is not the only person he did this to, but she was the person who let the cat out the bag. And these freak-offs would last for days sometimes, and she would be high. And
Yeah, this is fair use, no Diddy.
she would actually have to recover by using an IV drip. I mean, the freak-off sessions were just insane. Just insane. But baby oil and lube were an absolute...
Yeah, 16K camera with Matrix 360 views. Man, y'all ain't nothing right there, man.
must. And he made his victims and escorts use it. And he also was using oil and lube, slipping and sliding everywhere, just doing the nasty, busting it wide open, but no condom in sight, though. If you notice, condoms weren't mentioned, but they collected a whole bunch of oil and lube. So you could only imagine the STDs that were passed around. And I do remember there was an interview of this guy named Jonathan Odie. He was taken into custody because he blacked.
Oh yeah, y'all remember this guy, right? Because this is another thing. They had evidence of this way before this all popped off, and then they didn't believe this guy. But come to find out, this particular, I think he's gone. If you know what I mean, I think they took him out. But yeah, he was when he was under this interview or interrogation, he was kind of spilling all the beans. No Diddy. Super Black Passport Bro says that Shao Zulu, he had the 16K camera. He called them night cops instead of freak night caps. Man, y'all are going to get banned from over here. Call them night caps instead of freak offs. Man, y'all ain't shit right there.
Blasted up the Trump Towers, and they interrogated him, and he revealed that he participated in the freak-offs with Diddy and Cassie, and he actually caught something.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters. I was like a sex slave, okay? I caught herpes, and I came back and I sued him for the herpes and won.
Now, Diddy did plead not guilty to all of these charges.
See, that's some disgusting stuff, man. Had that dude involved in that, man, that's crazy, man. That is crazy.
But I mean, the baby oil and the lube is a dead giveaway. That man is guilty as sin, and he tried to get out on bail. He offered up $50 million to get out, and that was denied. He tried to get out again, and that also was denied because the feds don't trust Diddy. If they were to let him out on bail, who knows what he would try to do. Now, I don't think he would be trying to run because they have tabs on him. However, he could very well be trying to intimidate and pay off witnesses because he tried to do that with one of his former artists named Kalina Harper. Kalina was a part of his short-lived group Dirty Money, and another one of the members from Dirty Money is named Dawn Richard, and recently she filed a lawsuit against Diddy and pretty much confirmed the trafficking allegations, and she also observed Diddy put the pause on Cassie. Dawn's lawsuit made Diddy freak out big time, and he actually started harassing Kalina. He called her 54 times in one day and made her say that she didn't see him do anything. And see, this is what the feds don't want. They don't want him to tamper with the witness because that's what he's going to do if he's out on bail. So he's going to be stuck in prison up until it's time for trial. Now, hopefully nothing happens to him in prison.
Hey, I know she got a book out, but is it called Beyond the Grave? I don't think that's the name. Y'all be over here making up stuff. And here comes Shadow Zulu says, the nightcaps were actually shot with 69K camera. Why I gotta be a 69K camera shot, Zulu? And then Passport says 52% of B-dubs already have herpes. I know those freak offs cause a lot of brush fires. Man, y'all are so wrong tonight.
Prison, because Jeffrey Epstein was locked up in New York as well, and he died. They say that he took his life, but I don't believe that. I believe that he was taken out because he knew too much. And Diddy is another person who knows too much. And I don't think Diddy.
Now that is true. That's the point. Once he's in that position, he's in a very dangerous situation, because if they put the pressure on him and he starts giving up certain names, then he's going to probably get the epilators treatment as well.
Worked alone. I mean, yeah, he had his.
Oh yeah, Iman says no. I was saying Beyond the Grave. She gone, and the book is out. It's gonna be had to trust everything in that book. Okay, yeah. So you weren't saying that was the name of it. Okay. Or is it going to be hard? Yeah, it's going to be hard to trust anything in that book. Yeah.
Accomplices and people who worked under him, but I think that there were people above him that were instructing him on how to do this whole trafficking thing. I do think that this whole trafficking ring is way bigger than him. There are more powerful people involved, and it's really just some Illuminati stuff. And Diddy learned how to do this. Like, in order for him to rise in the ranks of entertainment, he had to participate in rituals. He had to sell his soul and booty hole, and in it.
Man, that is crazy. Unfortunately, she might be right.
Exchange for that, he was able to be a gatekeeper. He was given money to fund his careers, his ventures. He was given his own.
I'm the culprits right there. None of the ones who probably turned them out. That's crazy, but that's probably what happened.
Label, and he was able to be protected and keep the money flowing in by allegedly selling out to some of these wealthy billionaires and these wealthy label executives. In fact, the producer Lil Rod said in his lawsuit that the CEO of Universal Music Group, Lucian Grange, allegedly was.
Yeah, that's the dude. I forgot his name earlier, but he was the one that was indicted at first. But I think in this recent indictment, he's nowhere to be found. So he got himself expunged from the whole thing, because he's the head over Universal Music Group. So he's the one that, and I think they run like almost 40% of the music industry. Crazy.
Funding Diddy's criminal enterprise. He was giving Diddy funds for his label, and he knew that Diddy was using it for illegal activity. Now, if this is in fact true, why would Lucian take the risk to fund Diddy? Well, it's possible.
Lucian, that sounds a little like Lucifer, or maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know.
That he might have had a very, very close relationship with Diddy. Diddy was getting rammed in the industry, allegedly, and
getting rammed, no Diddy.
Because he was getting rammed, he started doing the
well, actually, it is Diddy.
Ramming. Essentially, he's doing to other artists what was.
Yeah, Iman. Yeah, about 40% of the current music, as far as the just like, if you, I don't know if you do any YouTube, but just like if you get like a strike or anything for using certain music, it's normally UMG. You'll see that UMG pop up. That's Universal Music Group. They have all rights on so many artists' music, and they allegedly are behind a lot of some of these artists coming up missing. But that's a subject for another video.
Done to him, and this is why you hear rumors about him allegedly doing things to Usher and Justin Bieber when they were younger. I don't know how true that is, but the rumors are out there. You also hear rumors about how he essayed other women, other female artists in the industry. Not to mention, you hear about how he turned out some male artists.
Now, here's the thing, though. I don't know if you guys heard this, but I heard Mary J. Blige was actually doing things to young guys in the industry. You know that guy used to be with Death Row. His name was Danny Boy. I don't know if you guys heard this, but I heard this a while back, and then it kind of went quiet. Danny Boy said that when he was underage, allegedly Mary J forced him to go down on her when he was underage. That's what he said. So y'all need to go look that up. So this whole thing was kind of been a shit show from from way back, because it wasn't just him. It was like the people around him. Because I heard Mary J was also doing certain things to young men as well. I don't know if you guys heard that, but let's go.
In the industry, like Meek Mill and French Montana and Trey Songz, allegedly.
Like Iman calls him cheek meal. Iman, you are wrong for that, bro.
Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, daddy. You putting in that work. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
And what's with him singing happy birthday to grown men, man? That's crazy to me. But anyway.
Birthday, dear friends. Happy birthday to
Oh, Shadow, is that true? You said Lil Uzi Vert is what actually means Lucifer. Okay. I have no doubt about that, but I didn't know that. Thanks, Shadow. You can always depend on Shadow for that esoteric knowledge. Iman said, you fucking or Jaguar, right? Cheek meal. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, there you go with that daddy again.
you.
Thank you. I could say something about a Diddy party right now, but I don't know the rules of the game if I'm allowed to say it.
Say it.
One of my boys, a social media influencer, he was at a Diddy party and they invited him to Diddy's room. He walks in, Trey Songz was sitting on Diddy's lap making out with him, and they asked him if he wanted to join.
What the fuck?
No, ain't no way. They're all gay. They're all undercover gays. I promise you that.
So Diddy was out here allegedly turning out men and grooming them, and he was doing this as a way to exert his power and control over them. And he did this to women too. So it wasn't really like a regular consensual situation. Diddy was abusing his power, and he was grooming people to basically sleep with him to get opportunities or get what they want out of him. And sometimes Diddy would record them and use it as black.
Yeah, and where's Ashton Kutcher and all this? I know he's been to a whole heap of Diddy parties, but let's go.
Blackmail. And the situation as a whole is really nefarious, but this was learned behavior.
Yeah, and that's Andre Harrell. That was the guy who Diddy used to intern with or for when he first got started in the industry. So as legend has it, he's one of the guys that turned Diddy out, because I think he got turned out by Clive Davis allegedly. And so when he started Uptown, Diddy was like his golden boy, pause. And that's kind of how the whole thing started. But that's his, quote, mentor right there, Andre Harrell. And what's so crazy, it's kind of like what we said earlier, Iman, is that I like a lot of the artists that were on Uptown, like Heavy D, but you ain't never heard nothing about Heavy D being involved in this. But Heavy D was on Uptown. A lot of guys, man, back in the day that, that was a good little label, we thought, but we didn't realize all this BS was going on behind the scenes. Crazy.
Behavior. He learned this from the other elites in the music industry. He learned this from the Illuminati ringleaders. He learned that from all of his mentors, and he essentially was doing to others what was done to him.
And with Russell Simmons, yeah, we've been hearing crazy stuff about Russell Simmons. That's another one. You gotta look at kind of different, because a lot of the artists that were on Def Jam and all that back in the day, we was listening to all these artists, the LLs. Luckily, we ain't heard nothing about LL coming out with none of this crazy stuff. Or Run DMC, some of our favorite artists, Public Enemy, all of them was on Def Jam. So, and I'm not saying all these guys were involved with everything that was going on, but it does put a bad taste in your mouth, no Diddy, to know about this stuff, because it's crazy. Because the bottom line is the whole industry looks like it's corrupt, and it's sad, because a lot of us grew up listening to certain songs. We didn't know everything about what was going on, but it's crazy to see a lot of these guys, turning out the way they actually are, and we just had no idea. And then Iman says, why Kutcher not stopping Diddy? Them dudes are full of shit. Yeah. He said Russ got his ass up out of here. Yeah.
Him. He was taught in order to get over, he had to bend over.
You got to realize, man.
Your girl dropping bars. She said to get over, he had to bend over.
He learned from Andre Harrell. He learned from Russell Simmons. He learned from Clyde Davis.
It's some dirty type of stuff going on, because whatever room they are in at the W, whatever room they are in, you could see why would grown men be sitting around with their dick out. and sitting there and what's his name, jerking one of their dicks. I think it was Divine, but I have locked it in my safe deposit box. I done had this tape for 4 weeks. What are all these three guys doing? Are they doing something deranged? I mean, like, this happened when they had the Hip Hop Awards, when T.I. was out of jail. And T.I. is in it. You got, what's his name, Pharrell. You got, what's the guy name, Divine Stevens. And a few other guys. I can't think of the other guy's name. But Stephen Hill was jerking Divine Stevens. And
Man, that's crazy.
Got that to show you. So when you get that, if you show that before the BET Awards, they done. He's done.
Now, the clip I just played is a very old clip. It was from 2011, and some celebrity bodyguard claimed to have a tape of Diddy, T.I., Divine Stevens, Stephen Hill, Nas, and I think Andre Harrell as well on tape. We haven't seen the tape.
Not Nas, man. Come on, man. See? Iman, I think you're right, man. We may have to stop listening to entertainment now.
So I can't confirm if it's true or not, but I will say this. If it is true, it probably was another one of those little initiation ritual type things. A lot of these people in the industry have been doing things like this to get ahead. Diddy was not the only one. He was not the only one. Now, there was one powerful person in the industry who protected Diddy, and that was Clarence Avant. Clarence Avant was the black godfather of the entertainment industry. I believe he was Boulay. He might have been a part of the Boulay. I don't know. But he had a lot of power and a lot of respect. He protected and helped the careers of a lot of black entertainers. And he also protected them from getting screwed over. And I mean literally, he protected them from getting screwed.
I'm going to give it.
Oh, really? So that to me is an interesting thing, because that the old guy, which, you know, he looked like a respectable man. He's gone now, but she said that he was the one that was preventing them from literally getting screwed. No Diddy. So he passed on. So I guess now it's open season on these guys. So they don't have any more protection. So it's crazy, but it's ironic that he was like the older black guy, was like the father figure that was protecting guys. And I think Diddy's talking about him right here. But I guess when he passed away, that was the end of their protection. But let's go.
Raw. Clarence makes sure that you don't get f***ed. Straight up. There's a lot of f***ing going on in the entertainment industry, the music industry. Everybody's getting caught up into something. I'm cured now, though, everybody. I'm cured. Everything's good. Y'all can have me over for dinner. Everything is good.
Yeah, I don't think we believe that, but let's go.
Now, Diddy sounded very crazy in that clip, and he definitely was lying about being cured, but he wasn't lying about Clarence protecting him and protecting other people. Clarence was very powerful and connected, and he had a lot of respect in the industry, but he passed away last year. He passed away in August, and what I find to be very interesting is months later after he passed.
Yeah, you know what? That's a subject that we should probably cover, as far as a lot of those old record labels, and how a lot of the bigger ones, would go and buy them out, or they would do it through coercion and things like that. Just like I don't know if you know the story of Sam Cooke, who's an excellent singer. You look him up. He was trying to form his own conglomerates and work with other artists and things like that. And then they wound up, I think, deleting him. So that's what would happen. They were using strong arm tactics. A lot of those labels would go in and really, do mafia style tactics to get them out of business or try to buy them out. And then if they didn't want to sell, then they would take them out. So yeah, it was a lot. It's a whole big story behind that, Iman. So yeah, it's interesting that you should raise that, but that would be a good thing for us to talk about.
Diddy was exposed. Cassie filed that lawsuit, and everything went downhill for Diddy. See, Diddy lost his protection. Losing Clarence was a huge loss to a lot of people, not just Diddy, but also Jay-Z. And Jay-Z had to run behind another billionaire named Michael Rubin for protection once Clarence left. So now he's doing business and getting sponsored by billionaires like Mike Rubin and Robert Kraft, who I don't believe are going to stay in his corner forever. But right now they are his temporary protection. Diddy, on the other hand, has no protection. I think he crossed a lot of powerful people. He angered them. He had them recorded without their knowledge. And now they're scrambling. I mean, did you hear about the CEO of 300 Entertainment, Kevin Liles, stepping down right after Diddy was indicted? That's not a coincidence. Like, these guys are panicking because they have ties to Diddy. And they know that if he goes down, they're going to go down too. Yes, I want Diddy to go down because he's guilty of a lot of crimes, but make no mistake about it, he did not do this alone. He had elites funding his criminal enterprise. He had the police in his back pocket. And that's one thing that kind of annoyed me about the indictment, because they didn't point out the fact that Diddy had ties to law enforcement and he was paying off police to suppress evidence and make his crimes go away.
Yep, she made a good point right there. That's exactly what I said earlier, as far as, you know, when they were reading off that indictment, I was like, well, you know, it's funny that you guys are not talking about some of his collaborators, because he did have people that were covering stuff up, you know, just like what happened in that studio out in LA when they said him and his son allegedly shot somebody in the bathroom in the studio, and then they said that the cops out there were covering it up like it was just a drive-by, when in actuality it was a shooting that happened in the studio and stuff like that. So kind of interesting.
Dawn said in her lawsuit that Diddy literally had police officers at his parties. That's how deep they were in his pockets. And it wasn't only that. The producer Rodney, aka Lil Rod, said in his lawsuit that Diddy's head of security, Fahim Muhammad, used his connections to the LAPD to help cover up Diddy's crimes, which included a shooting that happened in Diddy's studio.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, there you go right there. I just mentioned that.
Also, another thing to note that I find very suspicious is Diddy has close ties to Corey Gamble. Corey Gamble used to be his nanny, and Kanye put it out there that Corey is with the CIA.
Yes, Corey's CIA. Like, he didn't even have to say it. I know it. Fucking CIA. What are you talking about? Like,
so Diddy had a lot of connections to people who were alleged CIA agents, connections to people in law enforcement, connections to people in politics, and connections in the entertainment industry. He was the Black Jeffrey Epstein, and he was confident he would never get caught. He really was, but look what happened. He finally got caught, but it took long enough, didn't it? But he's not the only one who's guilty of doing the stuff that he's doing. Other people are doing it too, and other people were involved in his shenanigans. And I do hope he gets a chance to expose those people. That would be the last good thing that he does, is expose that whole operation.
Yeah, that'd be good, but I'm not sure if they're going to let him get that far.
Because I know this whole thing is bigger than him. This is some Illuminati stuff. I'm telling you. Also, this is a side topic, but Rick Ross, who also has a connection with Diddy, was exposed too by his baby mama, Tia. Now, Tia made some posts.
Yeah, we know about that. That's crazy. But yeah, I don't want to see two grown men hugged up and kissing. But anyway, yeah, man, that is wild. But let's get a couple more clips before we wrap up. I think we might as well get a little bit of, yeah, after that was some heavy stuff. So I think it's time for maybe a little bit of levity. See what I can pull out the bag over here. See what I'm pull out before we get to our next clip. Oh yeah, I think you guys, did you guys see this? I'm gonna play a little bit of this right here. This Trump video.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
Seeing red, so don't push me. Ain't Donald Trump trying to grab him by the
Said it was some Haitians somewhere out in Springfield. Women doing cartwheels.
Have you seen Garfield?
Have you seen Snowball? This about to snowball. I'm about to go off. I can't let this go on. Miss me like an airball. Tell me where my cat is, cough it up like a hairball. I gotta tell them if they even put the finger.
Let's play a little bit. Did y'all see that before? Yeah. But you know what's so funny about that story about eating the cat? That was actually an Ohio woman, and it looks like they just started blaming Haitian immigrants. So you Haitian immigrants, I think one of you guys got some Haitian ancestry, right? Is it I think it's Israeli on Lion, or was it Shadow Zulu? One of you guys, you guys need to make sure you stand up, because I think they were putting this out there when when Trump said that. It was from reports, but it came from this right here. So this was a lady right here. I think she's actually one of those exoticals, if you look at her, but this is where that actually came from. This is a side topic, but I just wanted to point this out. We're going to get back into the main topic, but I just felt that it was interesting that they kind of took that story and ran with it, but this was the actual story that happened, and then it just kind of ballooned into that, and that's why I told you guys about the power of propaganda and how it all works. So you went from this woman right here to now all of a sudden there's Haitians eating them. But check this out.
Why'd you kill the cat? Stand up. Put your hands behind your back. Someone got rubber gloves. She's covered in blood. Where do you live at?
2255 hours. 22.
Let's go.
Yeah, there's a lot of units close together around here. I haven't found anybody walking around.
You have the right to stop answering any questions once they begin. Do you understand your rights? Do you understand?
Yeah, Shadows. I knew it was one of you guys. I think even Israeli Online too. I think he's part Haitian as well. Yeah, Shadow says, I'm Haitian, but DNA from maternal Kosan, Kosa, and maternal Zulu. Yeah, but the thing is, bro, they ran with that story saying that it was Haitian immigrants that were eating cats, but it's actually this exotical woman right here from Ohio who was actually killing. She killed a cat, and the cops showed up, and I think they started eating it. The people are saying that she basically stomped the cat and then started eating it. So I don't know what she was high on, but that's pretty much where that story came from. Let's play a little bit more.
Smile for me.
Smile with your teeth.
Go like this. Did you eat that cat? Did you eat it? No, why'd you kill it? Get in there. It's ridiculous. It's alright, other kitty, you're safe. Did you guys see all this?
No, we pulled up and she was just laying there with me.
Did you see her eating it? She was eating it?
Yeah. She said, but it's blood on her shoes. She said she stumped it out.
Yeah.
33, go ahead.
Well, you don't kill a cat and go to the hospital. You go to jail. You call the Humane Society, see if they'll come pick
Man, he said you go to jail for killing a cat.
this cat up. It's deceased. So maybe she's going through something mentally.
Bro, she lost her mom, kids died, killed themselves.
Yeah.
She gave her kids to somebody. You know what I mean? She tried to go get herself right mentally.
So she doesn't have her kids because she was telling people she killed them.
No, she did. She never killed her kids. Her kids was with a family member. She sent them to somebody to try to go get herself together.
Mm-hmm.
That person she sent them with was fucking beating them.
Mm-hmm.
They went somewhere else.
Okay.
So,
Judy said they would, and they'll hold the cat as evidence. She destroyed that cat. Yeah. This is fucked. She had cat hair on her mouth.
Yeah, so there you have it. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. So all you Haitians in the building, there you go. That's kind of where the story came from. But somehow you guys are getting blamed for it. So make of that what you will. But anyway, let's get back into the main topic. And yeah, we're going to get into some of these clips from Gene Deal, because, you know, he's been on this for a long time. So this would not be complete without bringing in some of his, perspective. So let's go ahead and play some of his videos a little bit here.
Gene Deal, let's get right into it. Diddy, he got indicted. You called it, man. A few weeks ago, you was on the platform and you said that he was going to get arrested in September.
Yeah, man. Anybody who in law enforcement or people know the law, when Homeland Security ran up into his house, people will tell you, or people knew that it was just a matter of time that they was going to indict him and bring him in to see the judge, bro. It was just a matter of time. I just figured out with the grand jury and their different sessions and stuff like that, and then what one of the witnesses told me, I just figured it out that it was going to be around September that they were going to bring him in, bro. People might not understand. It's difficult when you see a brother that has so much promise become an icon as far as in the music business and stuff that he did, to turn around and just tear his whole life down. But it's all because of his mentors and the people that trained him and taught him the music business. You know, it's all about the people who trained and taught him the music business, because Puff wasn't he wasn't born a monster. You know what I'm saying? He was made into a monster, brother. Do you understand what I'm saying? He was made into a monster from the stuff that happened to him, the things that he had to do. You understand? The things that he had to do to become who he is. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like this, brother. You never like something so much that you can't do without, and you never be willing to.
Yeah, that's the point I was making earlier. You know what? You can't be to the point where you want something that bad that you're going to just allow yourself to be put in that position. So I get what he's saying, and I'm not saying he's making excuses for him, but I don't think he had to do it. He made a choice, and that's, the fate that it got him. And I guess that he became so warped in his mind that he was turned out the way he was, that he just felt the need to get back at people. This is just like my psychological analysis of this, is that he felt because he had to give up his manhood, he felt like maybe he can get his manhood back by taking other men's manhood. So it's just kind of like that whole, the way victims victimize others. So that's what it looked like to me, but let's go.
Do anything to get where you want to be at. You got to have principles, you got to have morals, you got to keep with that stuff. And in that music business, a lot of that stuff get thrown out the window.
Yep, exactly.
You understand? And that's what happened to him. He started doing the things to other people that was done to him. To keep it frank, he was doing the things to other people that was done to him. And it is what it is. You got to know better. And if you know better, you will do better. When he was in New York City, he was like that gecko from the Geico commercial. Then he turned and started going, when he lived in Cali and Miami, he turned into Godzilla. I would see him talk about how he using drugs. He was never like that. Smoking cigarettes, smoking weed and everything like that. He turned into something that you could consider a monster, bruh. Then he started doing things to people, you understand, that he learned. That's a learned behavior, bruh. Now, I'm not saying that he may have been doing a couple of things here and there with women, stuff like that in New York, but the things that there's talking about that he was doing, bringing in prostitutes to have sex with his girl and all that stuff like that, that was some crazy stuff to me, man. So I'm just looking at this whole thing, man, and you had asked me, and we don't have these conversations like most people do. We're going to go back and you're going to tell me what, we're going to talk about this. You said, I'm going to ask you how you feel, bro. I don't want no man to ever go to jail and be leaving their kids behind, be leaving their family behind. You understand?
Yeah, he's making a good point right there. And so, like I said, even with us, covering this particular story, it's not to take pleasure in this man going down, because I think it's a tragedy, man. This thing's playing out worse than a Greek tragedy. And he do have kids. He do has he has a family. I think he has what, 7 kids, last I heard. So it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate situation, but that's why men have to make better decisions in life, because especially someone like him of his stature, because it affects more than just him. And so it's a tragedy, and that's why throughout these proceedings, we're covering it, but we're also adding levity to the situation, not to mock it or make fun of it, but to make sure that we keep things into perspective, because it is what it is. But at the end of the day, it's if any of this is true, then it's of his own making. So he's just suffering the consequences of his own actions. But let's go.
But some dudes belong in jail based on what they do and how they do it. We know that to be true. And it's just this situation, man, when they get down to all the facts and all what happened, he may belong in jail, bruh. And that's not my doing. That's not Cassie doing. That's his doing and his learned behavior from the people that mentored him. You got to realize, man, he learned from Andre Harrell. He learned from Russell Simmons. He learned from Clyde Davis. You understand? When those people are telling you that.
And there's also evidence that he may have learned from his own mother, but we're going to get into that after this clip. So I'm just letting you guys know it might even go deeper than what Gene is saying, as far as he didn't get turned out until he got into the industry, because there may be some things going on with the relationship between him and his mom, allegedly. But like I said, I'm going to let you guys decide for yourself. After I play this clip, I'm going to play that other clip of him and his mom before we wrap up. Let's go.
They were heavy into the drugs. They was heavy into beating women and doing things at that age, at that crazy stage. That's going to make him think that he could get away with the same thing that they was getting away with back then. You understand? The things that he was saying, the touchy-feely between two men and all that stuff like that, man. All that, he learned that from them dudes. When I told y'all the story, when me and my man went up to Russell Simmons, and he had a house, and he had a man in bikini drawers in his bedroom, in his bed. You understand? Bruh, this is that he learned. I'm assuming he learned it from them. Let me put that. And I'm not going to say alleged, because I saw that for my own self.
That's what I like about Gene. He just tells it like it is. And like I said earlier, if anything that he was saying was wrong, or if he was lying, then why are they not coming at him with liable or slander? So he ain't even saying allegedly. He's saying he saw that with his own eyes. So that's crazy.
Man was with me, Slick was with me, and we saw that for our own self. You understand what I'm saying? So these are behaviors and things that, with drugs and all the stuff that's going on, pills, drinking, it can make this man into a monster, and that's what it did, bro. It made him into a monster, bro. I personally feel like he got a lot of the things that he did from his mentor, and then he probably did it to the 10th power. You understand? Russell Simmons admitted that he was a drug abuser. You understand? Russell Simmons admitted that he used to put his hands on women.
Yeah, that's why he over there now in Bali, all into being a Zen guru or whatever he's a yogi now. He's all into yoga. So, I guess that's his way of atoning for his sins. But let's go.
So it's a learned behavior, bro. Some of that stuff may be in him through his childhood. Through his childhood, he may have some of that things in him, but.
Okay, so Gene, touched on the childhood, right? So let's get into that real quick, because talking about his childhood, let's see how far some of this might go back. And again, this isn't to excuse any of his behavior, but you know, you got to look at the source of some of this stuff. And it's like we pointed out before, a lot of this does not just come out of nowhere. It's how they were raised. But let me grab this real quick. Check this out. Oh, you know what? It's not even loading. See if I can load it over on the other side. Hold on. It shows here escape the ballot. Yeah, let me see if I can put that video in. For some reason, it won't load right there. Let me try this way over here. Hold on. Because if I play it over here, then I won't be able to pause it. So I'll just have to stop it when I'm done. We'll see if it'll load over here. Give me one moment. Yeah. I want to play a little of that because it basically shows where some of this might have started from. And again, we ain't excusing nothing, but we gotta just put things into their proper perspective. So let me grab that. I think I might be able to load it over here because it's not letting me load it in this regular queue right here. See if I can play it right here. Okay, yeah, it's a different file type, so I thought I converted. Yeah, I didn't convert that one. I think, what is this? Yeah, it's not an MP4. There's some other kind of weird format. Okay, yeah, I can't play that one, but yeah, I just let Dean do a little. Gene do a little bit more talking. Then we'll play something else. Hold on.
A lot of things that he was doing was a learned behavior, bro. You just don't just turn it in a matter of years the way he was doing people, man. You understand? Check this out, bro. He led Biggs to his death. He caused a rift between Wolf and BMF that led to Wolf death. Cussed Wolf mother out. Lied about owing him $300,000. Because you had asked me how I feel, and I'm going to get into how I feel. Took a good friend of ours who raised money when he had the City College tragedy. A good friend of ours did things to...
And the stuff that Gene is talking about has nothing to do with the indictment and all that. So for all the guys who want to just blanket defend him, what about all this stuff that Gene is pulling out? This was all before all this other stuff came out. So he was just doing bad business and screwing over people, no Diddy, before. So that's the problem that I have with this whole thing. It's not like he was a model citizen before all this jumped off. Let's go.
Make him popular in Harlem. Let him hang with us, be part of our crew the whole 9 yards. Disrespected him and wouldn't help him. This is how I feel about him being locked up and going to jail. Some people, their karma is so strong for what they do and what they did. The stuff that he did to Craig Mack. You understand what I'm saying? The stuff that he did to Black Rob and all those people in the spiritual world right now. His karma was about to catch up and was bound to catch up with him. You understand what I'm saying? His karma was bound to catch up with him, brother. So all these things that's going on right now, the learned behavior, what he got from these people who was not living spiritually correct with their behaviors and the things that they've done. He go and transfer and do that to people with the fact of all these people that he's hurt, that always helped him and been on his side and been there for him. What's happening to him now is one of the greatest tragedies that we're going to ever read about, bruh. This is going to be one of the greatest tragedies that Shakespeare couldn't write in Richard. He couldn't write it in Macbeth. He couldn't write this shit in Romeo and Juliet. This is going to be one of the greatest tragedies of hip-hop, along with Pac's death, along with Big's death. And he brought it on himself because he knew that he was wrong, and he knew that he learned something that wasn't right. He know different from right and wrong, bro. You have a way to change. You know when something is right and when something is wrong, and you know if you're wrong, you get help. He didn't choose none of that, bro. He chose to be who he is, and now he gonna learn. It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun.
Yeah, so there you have it. But yeah, unfortunately, he's right now behind bars. Unfortunately for him, I should say. He's in there probably with this dude right here. We all know this dude.
All right, get in there. What's up, young blood? What's up? Swine, my brother? Nah, one thing. Now, let me tell you something. If you hit a man, in time, his wounds will heal. And if you steal from a man, you can replace what you steal. And always cross in the green, never in between. Honorable Elijah Muhammad Ali floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee.
Just thinking about spending another minute with Farrakhan made me never want to do time in the joint again.
Boy, am I happy to see you, man. And always remember, my brother, one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, knick-knack, paddywhack, get a dog a bone, 2000 party, out of time, my bacon smelling fine.
So he about ready to come up out of there. He in there with a bunch of dudes like that, so we know how that is. But but anyway, oh yeah, so we're gonna have to talk a little bit about, once again, these guys who want to just defend what's the indefensible. And I think we just have to break this down. It's kind of like what Dean, I keep calling him Dean, what Gene was saying about all the dirt that he did throughout the industry. And what I don't understand is how a lot of these guys want to get out here and defend him. And then, once again, this is a tragedy. We're not saying that this should have happened. You know, he made the wrong decisions. But the bottom line is he was doing dirt for a long time, messing over people in the business. And like Gene said, well, maybe this is karma or judgment or what have you. But sometimes you just got to break things down on a child level for people. So what we're going to do now is present you guys with the story of the Diddler, because evidently people think that this is just something that it's so hard to understand why he's in this position. But occasionally you just got to break it down to a child's level for people. So we're going to do that for you. Enjoy.
Around, children, gather and sit. Listen to the tale of a man who was sick. He would walk around the forest looking for any new tricks, any undiscovered talents, who would make him rich. One day, he found a young bear who was playing with a ball. He wanted him at his fair, so he waved at him and called.
Would you like to come and work in my circus?
The bear didn't know. There are men who you don't trust. The Diddler was his name, and he found his new prey, a young and unfortunate, talented bear to spray. Not the type to use mace, though he did that too. The Diddler was a swindler and stealer of youth. After years of abuse, the young bear had enough, stopped in the middle of the show, got mad and went off.
You don't know the half. That man you can't trust.
The crowd looked and laughed, thought that bear went nuts. He was put. The Diddler said,
No biggie. I'll find another young man.
He kept going to the forest, told them he was honest. Make them sign a bunch of paper. You'll read all that later. Take that. Take that.
Take that contract. Say goodbye to your family and don't ever look back. Young wolf, would you like to make it to the top?
Boy, that old creepy man just won't stop. How come every animal you find ends up losing their mind? Miss Rabbit hasn't seen her son since 2005. But you see, there was a little rat who had been paying attention. This entire time was gathering information. He went to the cops, told them everything he knew. To take down the Diddler, I'd be a snitch too. That's the day of that year the Diddler disappeared. The word spread around the forest. One less bad boy to fear. But don't kid yourself. It's not the end of the story. Such dangerous men are out there and plenty. They're almost demonic. They'll lie and they'll say, "You'll make a lot of money. Today's your lucky day." But there is no such irrational thing as luck. Children, there are just some men you cannot trust.
All right, so that's we've broken down on a child's level. That's the story of the Diddler, and shout out to the channel called Man's Best Friend for that. But yeah, we're just trying to give a different perspective for you guys. But yeah, I think that we're gonna wrap up with that. So I appreciate everybody for coming out. We had to definitely break this down, but we had some fun in the process. But this is obviously going to be an unfolding tragedy as things become more apparent. But it's unfortunate because it's just people doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and they pay the consequences. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. I think we played this before, but even Lil Wayne tried to warn people, and I got to play this because I'm not a big Wayne fan, but I do like the boldness in which how he basically told you guys about Diddy a long time ago. So let's check this out. So I meant to play this earlier. I just remembered. So I was going to end on the Diddler story, but let me go ahead and play this part. Some of you guys may be familiar with this, but when Lil Wayne pretty much outed him. Well, let's go.
Good. I mean, first of all, you want to stay away from these Diddy popping motherfuckers. Motherfuckers dancing all on motherfuckers.
You call right to his face. It's crazy.
Stage and shit. They want your ass. You call them astronauts. So
Hey, look at Diddy's face. He couldn't even say nothing. Let's go.
be afraid. Be very. Don't be trying to be famous. Or you gonna run into a motherfucker like that.
That said it all right there. So yeah. So watch out for them Diddy bopping motherfuckers, like he said. So anyway, people, appreciate you. We once again, I think we got a classic on our hands. Salute to everybody in the building. Salute to everybody that's gonna watch the playback. Appreciate you once again. And we will be back next week with another hard-hitting topic. And as we always like to end our illustrious broadcast, we're not just a broadcast or a podcast. We're a squadcast. There's a very big difference. Mission complete. Over and out.